Hey everybody, welcome back to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. I am Joe Labriola, and on today's episode, I want to talk about my favorite lyrical songs from every album. In my opinion, the best lyrical song from every album, and we're going to do this in chronological order from the first record, Iron Maiden, to the latest record, Senjutsu. Now, initially, when I thought about doing this, I was thinking about ranking every song on every album and going through which one's lyrically better, and I may do that down the road. But for the sake of time savings and just trying to hit the point home of what my favorite lyrical song is from every record and which one I think is the best on every album, I'm just going to do my favorite or whatever I deem the best from, as I said, the original record to Senjutsu. And I want to start off with Iron Maiden, the first record. Let's just dive into it. And when I do this, I'm going to give a couple honorable mentions or ones that I think are close. But I'm going to kind of explain why I feel like the one that I choose, why it's my favorite, and why I think it's the best. So let's start with Iron Maiden, the original record. I think the best lyrical song on this record is Strange World. Now, it took me a while kicking around some ideas and thoughts about this, but after digesting it and listening to it, and I've been getting in the groove of listening to Maiden again, because I'm seeing them this year on the Future Past tour in November in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Bruce's new album and stuff's coming out, so I'm like back in the groove, right? Listening to some Maiden, listening to some Bruce Dickinson solo stuff. But anyway, I digress. Strange World. Lyrically, not very many lyrics in the song really at all, but the lyrics that are in this song are just so good. And I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's not very many lyrics, but it's so good. The only place where you can dream, living here is not what it seems. Ship of white, light in the sky, nobody there to reason why. Here I am, I'm not really there. Smiling faces, ever so rare. Let's walk in deepest space. Living here just isn't the place. Then the second verse. Stalks of light come from the ground. When I cry, there isn't a sound. All my feelings cannot be held. I'm happy in my new strange world. Shades of green, grasses twine. And this is my favorite line in the entire song. Girls drinking plasma wine. A look at love. A dream unfolds. Living here, you'll never grow old. And then at the very end, Paul says, don't you hear me call? Ooh, and it kind of fades out. It's super interesting and super emotional and super deep, and I love it that it's so simple and it's not a ton of lyrics. But it's so amazing. It reminds me of like Forbidden Planet, the old sci-fi shows, Lost in Space, Star Trek. And really for me, it's a bit of nostalgia too, and you're going to see that with all these, but this is an underrated gem on this album. Not just lyrically, I mean musically it's pretty damn good too, but obviously there's no question that Phantom of the Opera is not the best, most complete song on the record. But lyrically, I don't think Phantom of the Opera is quite as strong as that. There's a lot of repetition and verse repetition in Phantom of the Opera, but this record as a whole isn't super lyric heavy. It's more about instrumentation and the crafting and the complexity, and that's why the Iron Maiden album, in general, is kind of an underrated gem. Production wasn't there. Martin Birch didn't come till Killers, but Will Malone did a pretty decent job with this. I know Steve has said many times he's not happy with the production on the record, but for what it was at the time and the rawness that it has and it conveys, it's pretty awesome. So, Strange World is my favorite lyrical song on the record. I think it's the best lyrical song on the record. A runner-up for me would be Remember Tomorrow. Remember Tomorrow has some pretty powerful lyrics as well. And that's kind of where I was with picking these. It was between Remember Tomorrow and Strange World, and I thought, man, Strange World just has a slight edge just because it's so unique and different. And that's why it's my favorite lyrical song on the record. Strange World for the first Maiden album. Moving on from that, we'll go on to Killers. And for me, again, a little bit of nostalgia because the song has just grown on me over the years so much. How it's sung, how it sounds. Purgatory. Purgatory for me is the best lyrical song on the record. It's quick, it's fast, but it's the way that it sounds is just immense. Lyrically, thinking of an age-old dream, places I have never seen, fantasies lived times before. I split my brain, melt through the floor. Over clouds my mind will fly. Forever now I can't think why. My body tries to leave my soul. Or is it me? I just don't know. Memories rising from the past. The future shadows overcast. Something's clutching at my head. Through the darkness I'll be led. And those are the verses. And then the chorus is just so catchy. Oh, another time, another place. Oh, another smile on another face. When you see me floating up beside you, you get the feeling that all my love's inside you. And then, Davey comes in with that like face melter, melodic riff, solo part. I mean, it's just epic. And there's some repetition. The please take me away, so far away. That whole thing, Paul does that a couple times. And then it goes, back into some of the chorus stuff. But these lyrics, man, are just insane. And there's a lot of repetition. It's pretty much the same thing repeated in the next section. I love the song. It's so catchy. It really does make me think about, like, being trapped in purgatory, man. It's like I'm still around. Like I'm still stuck here. It's interesting. And I love that supernatural feel to it. I love that kind of just catchiness to it. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal song. Super catchy. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's so good. Killers doesn't really have that many strong lyrical songs, if I were to sit here and say is a full, complete album. And that's why I don't think, at the end of the day, it's like one of my most favorite records. I dig it, but looking through the scope of Iron Maiden lyrically and what's going to come later, Killers as a whole doesn't really have that same feel for me as, when you get to the Bruce era stuff in the 80s, or, since the reunion. And I think the original record actually has some better lyrics than Killers. And, Paul had a lot of creative control on this one, too, helping Steve write some songs. So maybe that's another reason why, he was canned from the band. I know they talked about, substance abuse and things like that, and everybody did that, in the 80s, musicians and things like that coming up through. But the strength of having Bruce is also a songwriter, and we talk about this in the podcast a lot. So for me, the second best lyrical song on here is probably Prodigal Son. Just for the subject matter and what they're talking about and how it feels. I think it's probably Prodigal Son or Murders in the Room Work. I kind of get caught in between both of those. But I do think Purgatory has the coolest message, the most unique message, and that's why it's my favorite lyrical song on Killers. Now, with the first two albums in the bag, I'm going to move on to the first album with Bruce, The Number of the Beast. And, wow, lyrically, see, this is where it's a step up. I mean, not just in terms of vocals and musicianship and everything, but in terms of lyrics, too, and subject matter. I don't know if we talk about this enough on the podcast to really hit it home, but in terms of subject matter, this thing is a step up, too. You probably know what my favorite lyrical song on the record is. It's Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's one of the greatest Maiden songs of all time. Arguably the best Maiden song of all time. Not my personal favorite, but it's second. It's in the top 5 in most lists you look at of greatest of all time by the band. Just everything about it. How Bruce sings it, how everything is said, and it's just unbelievable. And I'm, again, verbatim, just going to run through it real quick. I'm waiting in my cold cell when the bell begins to chime, reflecting on my past life, and it doesn't have much time, because at 5 o'clock they take me to the gallows pole. The sands of time for me are running low, and Bruce holding it, we all know how it sounds. When the priest comes to read me the last rites, I take a look through the bars at the last sights of a world that has gone very wrong for me. Can it be that there's some sort of error hard to stop this from mounting terror? Is it really the end, not some crazy dream? Somebody please tell me that I'm dreaming. It's not easy to start from screaming, but words escape me when I try to speak. Tears they flow, but why am I crying? After all, I'm not afraid of dying. Don't I believe that there ever is an end? And I mean, it just builds and builds. Everything about it. I mean, the story. Matt and I talked about this. I talk about it. This is a transcendent song, and the imagery in it is unbelievable. And we're going right into these next couple lines, As the guards march me out to the courtyard, somebody calls from a cell, God be with you. If there's a God, why has he let me go? As I walk, all my life drifts before me, and though the end is near, I'm not sorry. Catch my soul, 'cause it's willing to fly away. Mark my words, believe my soul lives on. Don't worry now that I've gone beyond to seek the truth. And this is my favorite verse in the entire song. When you know that your time is close at hand, maybe then you'll begin to understand. Life down here is just a strange illusion. Some of the greatest philosophical, deep lyrics ever. Period. It's unbelievable. That just those couple lines at the very end. When you know that your time is close at hand, maybe then you'll begin to understand. Life down here is just a strange illusion. And then obviously the ending with Bruce wailing, yeah, hallowed be thy name, and he does it, one more time after that. And and just the musicianship, and we talk about that. But we're talking about lyrics here. I mean, to sit here and analyze some of these deep, complex lyrics, this is why Maiden is my favorite band. As a historian, as somebody who loves literature and art and history and philosophy and analytical psychology and poetry and all these different things that I love, that I've grown up on over the last 20 plus years. These are like lyrics of legend. The way Steve conveys the emotion in this, and we talk about in the podcast before when we got to Somewhere in Time, how that was the most emotional album they'd ever written. And in a way it is, but the thing that's great about it is, and people talk about this all the time, Maiden has always had this DNA. It was always built into them from the beginning when they were formed, and that's why they're so consistent, and that's why they are still together today, and they're churning out quality records and albums, because they've never strayed from this path of just creating complex music, but also complex lyrics. And I'm not going to sit here and say that every song that they do is deeply epic and super complex. The thing that's great about them is they have a little bit of stuff for everyone. And if you listen to the podcast and you listen to me, yammer on about my favorite things about the band, for me, I love the complex progressive edge that Maiden is now. I love that. I love that they've kind of went into that vein more as their story and their history has progressed and their career has progressed. And Matt has said this on the podcast previously, to quote him here, as I've become more mature, I feel like Maiden's music has become more mature. And you start to appreciate the more mature components. Not that The Trooper's not an amazing song, but they're singing about the war. And they're describing it lyrically, which is excellent. But to have this perspective, like this song in particular, Hallowed Be Thy Name, and to have this philosophical outlook on life, like, again, that passage, right? Life down here is just a strange illusion. Even just that sentence itself and that sentiment, it's like, it's an illusion, guys. What we're doing on this earth is an illusion. Where do we come from? We're more than what society wants us to believe. And I love that. It's so powerful. It's so palatable. I mean, it's wisdom derived from from musicians. And these guys are not just musicians either. And this is a song that encompasses that. These guys are educated, learned individuals. Every single one of them. They write about life experience and their passions and their desires, and they're all educated. They really do this stuff because they're passionate about it. And you can feel that when you go to a live show. You can feel that when you listen to a new album. You can feel that when you listen to the old stuff. It's songs like Hallowed Be Thy Name that really hit the nail on the head for what Maiden is as a band. And I know I've kind of went off on a tangent and spilled my guts about Hallowed Be Thy Name. And this record is so hard to sit here and pick another song that's lyrically as good as Hallowed Be Thy Name. And I think Hallowed Be Thy Name is the best, right? But there are so many others on here that are excellent. However, for me, I think the runner-up is going to be Total Eclipse. I love the lyrics in this song. And again, just one powerful sentence that just encapsulates the entire song, and it's the apex, right? And I'm just going to say it, and I know this isn't my favorite, or in my opinion, the best song on the record, but from Total Eclipse, gone are the days when man looked down. They've taken away his sacred crown. To be set free, it took so long. It's not journey's end, it's just begun. I love it! How much more philosophically deep can you get? I mean, it's unbelievable. The rise and fall of civilizations, the end of humankind, the end of the world, nuclear winter, nuclear war, nuclear whatever. I don't know. It's just a rebirth. Kind of like, hey, look, it needs to be cleansed for us to understand where we're coming from. And it's so powerful in today's society and culture. It was 10 years ago. It was 20 years ago. It was 30 years ago. It was 40 years ago when these records were written and created. I mean, just to encapsulate the historical connotations in songs is unbelievable. And that's why Maiden is a historian's band. I mean, they're just that amazing. But that's it for the Number of the Beast record. I kind of went off on that tangent there. I had to, because, I mean, it's just, Hallowed Be Thy Name is that damn good. There's no question about it, right? So moving on from Hallowed Be Thy Name, I'm going to go to Peace of Mind. Now, this one is a little bit difficult because the songs are just so damn good. But again, it kind of has a lot of songs on here that are more quick-paced and middle range. Where Hallowed Be Thy Name, you know, we talk about this a lot on the podcast. Matt and I both echoed this. There's so much packed into that song for it to be as long as it is. I mean, you feel like it's a 10 or 15 minute song, and it's not. You know, it's not even 10 minutes. It's in the upper, single digit time frame. But sitting here and digesting it, I think the best lyrical song on Peace of Mind is Revelations. And Bruce wrote this one, and it's just so amazing. O God of earth and altar, bow down and hear our cry. Our earthly rulers falter. Our people drift and die. The walls of gold entomb us. The swords of scorn divide. Take not by thunder from us. Take away our pride. Now, that was a hymnal by an English author or poet, G.K. Chesterton. But he puts it at the beginning, and it fits so perfectly into the rest and how it segues. Just a babe in a black abyss. No reason for a place like this. The walls are cold and souls cry out in pain. An easy way for the blind to go. A clever path for the fools who know. The secret of the hanged man. The smile on his lips. The light of the blind you'll see. The venom tears my spine. The eyes of the Nile are opening. You'll see. And then my favorite line, my favorite verse in the entire song. She came to me with a serpent's kiss as the eye of the sun rose on her lips. Moonlight catches silver tears I cry. So we lay in a black embrace, and the seed is sown in a holy place, and I watched and I waited for the dawn. The light of the blind you'll see, the venom that tears my spine. The eyes of the Nile are opening, you'll see. And then he has the go, and then it's dan-dan-dan, dan-dan-dan. And then, the musicianship we talk about constantly. But lyrically, again, this last verse is also just so powerful. Bind all of us together, ablaze with hope and free. No storm or heavy weather will rock the boat, you'll see. The time has come to close your eyes and still the wind and rain. For the one who will be king is the watcher in the ring. It is you. It is you. I mean, unfucking believable lyrics. Take that DNA from Hallowed Be Thy Name and have this written. Paul doesn't write like this. Paul Di'Anno doesn't write like this. And I know Bruce doesn't have, 1,000 writing credits, solo, like Steve does, because it was Steve's band. But if you look at Bruce Dickinson now, and you take his solo stuff that he's done, and you look at the stuff he's written in the Maiden catalog, in particular, the stuff that he did on Book of Souls, you look at If Eternity Should Fail, Empire of the Clouds, and we're going to get to some of the other stuff, Revelations. And then after this, you're going to see another song that I absolutely adore that he wrote. This is some incredible shit, man. Lyrically, unbelievable. I mean, in some ways, it may be better in some parts than Hallowed Be Thy Name. And I love that fucking song. And lyrically, that song is just insane to me. Bruce comes in, and not only can he sing like a champion and a god, but he can write like a champion and a god. And this is just a reflection of that. This is a mind-blowing song from top to bottom, from start to finish. And the more and more that I've listened to it over the years, it has become one of my favorite Maiden songs. One of my favorite songs on Peace of Mind. By far. And it's just that damn good. Secondly, on this record, I feel like the best lyrical song is Still Life. I'm not looking at it from if Maiden can tell a tale or base a song off of a story, because I know they can. One of the best songs on this record is To Tame a Land, based on one of my favorite science fiction novels of all time, in Dune, by Frank Herbert, the 1965 novel, right? But, well, by the way, this is February 2024, and Dune Part 2 by Denis Villeneuve comes out on March 1st, I believe. So, just a little tidbit in there. Anyway, I digress again. I know that Steve can take a piece of literature or describe a historical event expertly. He is an exemplar at that. And so is Bruce, and so are other people in the band. Yan, Adrian, Davey on some songs with their musicianship or whatever. Lyrically, whoever writes the lyrics. I mean, I know that they can describe art and history and philosophy and poetry and literature expertly, as I said. So while I sit here and I say To Tame a Land is an amazing song lyrically, and it is, it really does a great job of conveying that science fiction novel by Frank Herbert, one of the greatest. I can't sit here and say enough about Still Life either, though, and I think this is an underrated gem on this album. I think people often overlook Still Life, and undeservingly so. It is incredibly catchy. The beginning is my favorite part of the song, and like I said, this is the This is the runner-up. This is the honorable mention from Peace of Mind for a lyrical song. Take a look in the pool and what do you see? In the dark depths, their faces beckoning me. Can't you see them? It's plain for all to see. They were there. Oh, I know you don't believe me. And it's just incredible. And then my favorite line from Still Life, and then we're going to move on to the next album, is, all my life's blood is slowly draining away. And I feel, and Bruce goes, that I'm weaker every day. Like his energy's being, like his essence is being drained from him. Somehow I know I haven't long to go, joining them at the bottom of the pool. It's just, that is my favorite part. The weaker every day. Just the way he sings it and conveys it is so killer. And again, I know I'm talking about Bruce. I'm talking Bruce up because, man, and Nico joined the band too for Peace of Mind. So, in this band's defense, they did everything right to improve the band from 1980. They took steps in the right direction to make themselves better. And this is why these records are just so amazing. And I love Peace of Mind as an album as a whole. And those two are unbelievable songs. I don't care what anybody says. They are absolutely phenomenal. And again, as we move on to the Power Slave record in 1984. And I'll echo what I said about Peace of Mind. I know that Steve and the guys can write songs about literature and poetry and history and philosophy and historical events and all this other stuff, right? Down the line, literature, everything. Round Me Ancient Mariner is an amazing song. It's the best song on the record, by far. The most complete song on the record. For everything in totality as a whole. But, lyrically, from a standpoint of pure essence and energy that isn't based off of any literary work or anything like that. Because if I wanted to go down through and do every literary work or every historical thing that Maiden based a song off of, and that could be something down the line that I may do. But from a lyrical standpoint, the best lyrical song on this record for me is Power Slave. Again, by Bruce Dickinson. The title track. It is deserving of the title track. And Bruce, to write a title track, think about this. Steve's the guy. Steve was the man who was like, I write the music, right? He's the captain of the ship, man. He is the emperor. He's the king in this band at this time. And we talk about it. Steve lets go a little bit of that control as the years go on. And this is an example and a showcase of that. Giving Bruce the ability to write the title track for probably their most critically acclaimed album. It's either this or Number of the Beast. Says something. Again, another shining example why Bruce fits perfectly into this band after Paul Di'Anno's gone. Let's start with the lyrics from Power Slave. And I'm going to say the whole damn thing because it's that good. Into the abyss I'll fall, the eye of Horus. Into the eyes of the night, watching me go. Green is the cat's eye that glows in this temple. Enter the risen Osiris, risen again. The chorus. Tell me why I had to be a power slave. I don't want to die. I'm a god. Why can't I live on? When the life giver dies, all around is laid waste. And in my last hour, I'm a slave to the power of death. The second verse. When I was living this lie, fear was my game. People would worship and fall, drop to their knees. And my favorite line in the entire song. So bring me the blood and red wine for the one to succeed me. For he is a man and a god, and he will die too. Amazing! And here's the thing. The chorus repeats again, and then this verse. Now I am cold, but a ghost lives in my veins. Silent the terror that reigned, marbled in stone. A shell of a man God preserved for 1,000 ages. But open the gates of my hell, I'll strike from the grave. Back into the chorus to close it out. The depiction of this encapsulates everything on the album cover, the imagery of Mummy Eddie, Pharaoh Eddie. It's basically talking about the curse of a pharaoh, right? I was the king, I died, now a ghost lives in my veins. A mummy, the curse of the mummy, man. How much more kick-ass metal can you get than that? And it goes back again and harkens back to the whole scope that Maiden did in the records previous. This monster stuff, this occult stuff, this paranormal stuff. It has a little bit of Phantom of the Opera, a little bit of mysticism, a little bit of the occult, a little bit of Number of the Beast mixed in there. Oh, you know what? How about we talk about pharaohs and ancient Egypt? And, oh, you know what? It'll fit in the motif. We'll throw the horror element in this, too. Mummies. Pharaohs. But we'll have a little bit of more fantastical approach to it. Amazing. And maybe I've glossed over this over the years as well, but this is why I love doing these podcast episodes, because it illuminates stuff for me too that I might have overlooked or not paid much attention to because I'm so elated by listening to their music, right? The crown jewels of this record in particular is Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Power Slave, and the crown jewel, Around the Ancient Mariner. But the substance of this song, Power Slave, it never gets old. I've seen this song live now 3 times. And it never gets old. It's one of my favorite songs. I was obsessed with Power Slave for the longest time. It's still one of my favorite records of all time. And this is one of those songs, again, that makes this record and this album a 10 out of 10. And it's those damn lyrics that are just so powerful and absolutely amazing that I don't even know where to begin. Now, moving on from that, if you take rhyme as a runner-up lyrically, which very well you could, but I'm gonna push it aside and say, because it's based on literature, I'm gonna look at it from a standpoint of just lyrics created that aren't based on those kind of things, right? And arguably, you could say Power Slave is based on some kind of horror or gothic literature as well, but not in particular. It's more ambiguous that way. You know, where Around the Ancient Mariner is straight to the point. Hey, this is based on Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem, Around the Ancient Mariner. Power Slave has some ambiguity to it, and that's what I love about these lyrics. So, with that, and I know this song is played a lot, and it's one of the songs that is played maybe a little too much on live shows and stuff, but I mean, I love it. 2 Minutes to Midnight. 2 Minutes to Midnight for me, lyrically, is outstanding. Much like every song on this record, obviously, minus Lost for Words, Big Aura, because it's an instrumental. The lyrics are ridiculous. Kill for gain or shoot to maim, we don't need a reason. The golden goose is on the loose and never out of season. Blackened pride still burns inside. The shell of bloody treason. Here's my gun for the barrel of fun, for the love of living death. The killer's breed, or the demon seed. The glamour, the fortune, the pain. Go to war again, blood is freedom stain. Don't you pray for our souls anymore. Into the fucking chorus. 2 minutes to midnight, the hands that threaten doom. 2 minutes to midnight to kill the unborn in the womb. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The blind men shout, let the creatures out, will show the unbelievers. Napalm screams of human flames for a primetime Belson feast, yeah. As the reasons for the carnage cut their meat and lick the gravy. We oil the jaws of the war machine and feed it with our babies. Unbelievable! How amazing is that? Again, historical. Like I said, I know they can write stuff about history. And again, this is more historical. But look back at total eclipse. Nuclear warfare. It's the same thing repeated, but enhanced and improved. But to move on to Somewhere in Time, the song that really hits home for me lyrically, and this is hard because this entire album is very emotional and very powerful. And when I do the honorable mentions on this one, it's going to be like 3 or 4 of them because they're that good to me. And it was so hard to do this to a certain extent. But I think when I listen to it and I kind of feel, okay, this is what I think is right, and this is what I feel like is my favorite, what I feel like is the best lyrical one, it's Wasted Years. And to preface it, it kind of reminds me of the quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. Somebody asked her what the meaning of life was, and she basically said the meaning of life is to live it, right? To not be afraid, to always try to seek out new and better opportunities, more worthwhile, more exciting opportunities. Challenge yourself, to push forward, to live your life and not waste it, right? So Wasted Years for me really hits that home with the lyrics, and I'm just going to say them verbatim, and this is Adrian. You all who listen to the podcast know Adrian is my favorite guitarist in the band. I'm not saying he's the best guitarist, but the thing that's great about Iron Maiden, especially modern day after Jan joined, is all 3 guitarists are amazing. Every member of the band is amazing. There's nobody better than one another. They're all incredible. They're all amazing. And that's why they're Iron Maiden. And with one of those people absent from the band today, there's a drastic difference. And they are not Maiden as we know them, or we've known them since 1999, since the reunion. But Adrian, Wasted Years. From the coast of gold, across the 7 seas, I'm traveling on, far and wide. But now it seems I'm just a stranger to myself and all the things I sometimes do. It isn't me, but someone else. I close my eyes and think of home. Another city goes by in the night. Ain't it funny how it is? You never miss it till it's gone away. And my heart is lying there, and will be till my dying day. And then the chorus. So, understand. Don't waste your time always searching for those wasted years. Face up, make your stand, and realize you're living in the golden years. Second verse. Too much time on my hands. I got you on my mind. Can't ease this pain so easily. When you can't find the words to say, it's hard to make it through another day. And it makes me want to cry and throw my hands up to the sky. Back into the chorus. And for me, when I think about this song, it's a metaphor again in the symbolism and the imagery for life. And the quote that I prefaced talking about it with by Eleanor Roosevelt, you have to live it. And to fit it into the actual album, Somewhere in Time, it's like, hey, look, don't waste your time. Life passes you by so fast. Time flies. And that's what the song is about. Hey, we always chase nostalgia, right? And I'm guilty of this. I'm a historian, man. That's like what I do. I'm a nostalgia chaser. I'm always thinking about the past and what we can learn from it and how we can apply it to the future, right? And history repeats itself, that saying. And that's why this song is so powerful to me and why it's probably my favorite lyrical song on this record. Because of all that. Because it does really capture in a very small snapshot and so many words and phrases that are in here that are so powerful and deep if you actually sit there and analyze the lyrics of how we do struggle in our life. There are struggles, there are obstacles, there are things we wish we had, There are things that cause us pain. You know the line, can't ease this pain so easily. If you're thinking about a time where you were happier, or a person who made you happy, or a place or an event, or a hobby that you used to do, or a friend group you used to hang out with or associate with. It's in the past now. You can't ease this pain so easily. It makes you want to cry. Gets you frustrated. You want to throw your hands up and say, I'm done, I quit. Right? But then after that verse, it goes back into the chorus and says, so, understand. Don't waste your time. Always searching for those wasted years. Face up. Make your stand. And realize you're living in the golden years. Basically, hey, look, you can sit here and you can mope and you can whine and you can complain and you can wish you were back 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But at the end of the day, the more you sit here and you waste your time, you got too much of it on your hands to worry about things, you could be out there living your life. And that's what's so great about this song. And that's what really hits it home for me and why I love it so much. And it's one of my favorites. One of my favorite Maiden songs of all time. Not only because it's penned by Adrian, because he's my favorite guitarist, right? But because of that power and that meaning. And again, just an immense picture and canvas that these lyrics paint the imagery of life on that. Just like the songs I talked about before. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, it's emotional, it's deep. And that's what most of these songs today that we're going to talk about are. They're that good. They are that good. Now, runners up for this album. Secondly, for me, another Adrian Penn song with Stranger in a Strange Land. Same kind of sentiment in a way. Although this shares the title with the Robert A. Heinlein novel, which is my favorite science fiction novel of all time, it's not really about that. Maybe subtly there's some hints, but it's not verbatim like Rhyme is, or To Tame a Land, or later down the road, The Red and the Black. It's not so much about that. But the sentiment on Stranger in a Strange Land was many years ago when I left home and came this way. I was a young man full of hopes and dreams. But now it seems to me that all is lost and nothing gained. Sometimes things ain't what they seem. No brave new world. No brave new world. And it repeats. And then this part, my favorite lyrics in the song. Night and day I scan horizon, sea and sky. My spirit wanders endlessly. Until the day will dawn and friends from home discover why. Hear me calling, rescue me. Set me free, set me free. Lost in this place and leave no trace. Now, metaphorically, you can think of this like as, sci-fi. Some guy lands on a strange planet. He's lost and far from home, just like the lyrics suggest. Preserved in time, right? Frozen, cryogenically, in stasis, in a sleep module, like in, outer space movies, like Alien, things like that. Cryo sleep. But could also be in your mind. Lost. Again, very similar sentiment to Wasted Years. The lines, as many years ago that I left home and came this way, I was a young man full of hopes and dreams. In other words, not anymore. Hope's gone. The struggles of reality have set in the world, and now I see that there are many obstacles that I have to overcome. It's not as easy as what I thought. It's not as easy as what it seemed. I feel like I'm a stranger. And everybody can face that. And it's a very personal and deep meaning because stranger in a strange land, it could be everyday life. When you go to a workplace, when you go to a job, anxiety, social awkwardness, meeting new people. Some people don't thrive that way. Some people have difficulty with that. Sometimes it's hard. It's a very personal song and emotional, and it's philosophical the way you look at it, how you interpret it. And that's what I love about it. And that's why it's the runner-up. But After that, Sea of Madness has great lyrics. Heaven Can Wait has great lyrics. Caught Somewhere in Time has absolutely phenomenal lyrics. And they're all, like, in that same kind of vein with each other. They're very close. Alexander the Great, amazing historical account of that historical figure. My favorite of all time. This album is very strong lyrically. It might be, in totality, in the upper echelon of Maiden records, with strong emotional and lyrical messages and metaphors. And that's why I loved it so much. But I don't want to harp on Somewhere in Time until I exhaust it, which I probably already have. But that's why it's so good. But again, this is a lyrical podcast. This is a podcast episode about my favorite, or what I deem the best lyrical songs on every Maiden album. So we're going to move on to Seventh Son. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you probably know which one I'm going to pick, because it's pretty straightforward for me if you kind of see where I'm going with my song selections here lyrically. Infinite Dreams. Solo pen by Steve. Damn, this is a good song. Lyrically. Infinite Dreams, I can't deny them. Infinity, it's hard to comprehend. Couldn't hear those screams even in my wildest dreams. Suffocation, waking in a sweat, scared to fall asleep again, in case the dream begins again. Someone chasing, I cannot move. Standing rigid, a nightmare statue. What a dream. When will it end? And will I transcend? Restless sleep, the mind's in turmoil. One nightmare ends, another fertile. It's getting to me, so scared to sleep, but scared to wake now, in too deep. Even though it's reached new heights, I'd rather like the restless nights. It makes me wonder, makes me think. There's more to this. I'm on the brink. It's not the fear of what's beyond. It's just that I might not respond. I have an interest, almost craving, but would I like to get too far in? Can't be all coincidence. Too many things are evident. You tell me you're an unbeliever. Spiritualist? Well, me, I'm neither. Wouldn't you like to know the truth of what's out there, to have the proof? And find out just which side you're on? Where would you end? In heaven or in hell? And then Bruce holds the head. I mean, it's beautiful. And then it comes back into the help me to find my true self without seeing the future. Save me from torturing myself, even within my dreams. Then the whole instrumental passage. And then the last verse of this song. My favorite. The whole song is amazing to me. I mean, the whole song is my favorite lyrically. But this is really the apex of it and encapsulates the entire song. There's got to be just more to it than this. Tell me, why do we exist? I'd like to think that when I die, I'd get a chance, another time, and to return and live again, reincarnate, play the game, again, and again, and again. Bruce, right? It kind of fits into that thing we talked about with Somewhere in Time, with the emotion and life. And what's the purpose of it, and the meaning, and why are we here? It's questioning that. And it does it in such a way that is just amazing. Like I said, when I talked about wasted years, it's really a snapshot of the question. What am I here for? What am I doing? Am I wasting my time? Am I living life to my utmost potential? And that's this song. And much like Somewhere in Time, this album is very lyrically strong in a lot of places. I don't think it's quite as lyrically powerful as Somewhere in Time, or emotionally powerful as Somewhere in Time. But it's close. I think the next song on this record that really hits it home for me is The Evil That Men Do, just because of the emotion. Love is a razor, and I walk the line on that silver blade. Slept in the dust with his daughter, her eyes red with the slaughter of innocence. And I will pray for her. I won't call her name out loud. I would bleed for her if I could only see her now. And on the chorus, living on a razor's edge, balancing on a ledge. Living on a razor's edge, balancing on a ledge. And it keeps repeating, right? And the evil that men do. And then this part is unbelievable. Circle of fire, my baptism of joy, at an end it seems. The seventh lamb slain, the book of life opens before me. And I will pray for you. Some day I may return. Don't you cry for me. Beyond is where I learn. I mean, it's amazing. Now take that, and there are other lyrical songs on here that are amazing. I mean, Moonchild is amazing lyrically. How it starts out: 7 deadly sins, 7 ways to win, 7 holy paths to hell, and your trip begins, right? I mean, in the continuation of that, and how it is, those two in particular are absolutely incredible. The Clairvoyant, those lyrics are unbelievable. This album, the title track, Seventh Son, the lyrics are amazing. But I've talked about this record. This is a record that, it's a concept album. It's Maiden's only concept album. They've had other albums that are more thematic, other albums that are mixed with a bunch of their signature stuff, which is kind of what they've been doing the last couple albums. But as a conceptual album, this is pretty damn strong and amazing. Now, my thing is, and I'm guilty of this, and it's my own personal maybe flaw or criticism, is I do compare this to Somewhere in Time a lot. And I look at the latter 80s records, this is coming out in 88 and Somewhere in Time coming out in 86. I am comparing them to one another because they're very similar that way. The emotional aspect and component. And I feel like, and I've said this on many podcast episodes, I feel like the constraints of keeping it within this framework and this concept limits this album a little bit. Because they couldn't really branch off like they did in Somewhere in Time. And go for a more thematic approach. And have a more eclectic grouping and mixture of songs within the record. It all had to kind of correlate or relate to that main theme, which was the premonitions and the prophecy and the chosen one and the seventh son and that whole ideology. So with that though, and having to actually focus and hone in on that, they did an exemplary job. But again, from the 80s, the Bruce era lineup in the 80s, from the first record he did, Not the Number of the Beast, to this one, Moonchild, I've said this time and time again, this is probably my least favorite record. I still love it, I adore it, it's an amazing record, but it's my least favorite from the 80s stuff with Bruce. And I think, again, it's because that concept. But I can't sit here and deny that Infinite Dreams isn't one of my favorite Maiden songs. An incredibly powerful Maiden song. And it's my favorite song on this record. So, that's Seventh Son. Now, moving on from Seventh Son, we go into the the Dark Ages. The 1990s for Iron Maiden. No more Adrian. They get Yannick Gears to come in for Adrian as the second guitar player to replace Adrian. Everybody else is the same. The rest of the lineup remains the same. But, wow, this is tough. And the reason I say this is because I don't listen to the podcast. No Prayer for the Dying for me is just not a good album. It's a bad album. It's the worst thing they've ever done, in my opinion. And I hate to say that because I love this band, but they're not perfect. They made some mistakes. They've had a couple duds. But they learn from it and they improve. And they become better. And that's why they're my favorite band. But for me, I think the best lyrical song on this record is the title track. No Prayer for the Dying. There are times when I've wondered, and times when I've cried. When my prayers, they were answered, and times when I've lied. But if you asked me a question, would I tell you the truth? Now there's something to bet on. You've got nothing to lose. When I've sat by the window and gazed at the rain, with an ache in my heart, but never feeling the pain. And if you would tell me just what my life means, and this is my favorite line in the song, it's like walking a long road, never reaching the end. And then the end, part of it is God give me the answer to my life. God give me the answer to my dreams. God give me the answer to my prayers. God give me the answer to my being. It's very deeply philosophical. Now, lyrically, it's pretty damn good. However, the musicianship on this, Bruce's vocals on this, are not up to par, and that's what makes it a weaker album and a weaker song. Now, you had the instrumentation and the tightness and the melodic changes and shifts and the harmonies, and Bruce not doing that kind of like raspiness in his voice that he started to do with this record, probably for just some kind of creative control, a little bit something different, testing out some different techniques and changing it up a little bit to try to fit in more niche to the climate at the time, the musical climate at the time. Not great. I mean, and that's another thing I want to echo about these songs. When Bruce sings this stuff, you really feel it. I mean, up to this point. I mean, even on this one to a certain extent, you feel it, right? But when he's wailing on the songs I mentioned from Number the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son, I mean, you feel the emotion. You really feel like you're him, like he's telling you that story. And that's what's so beautiful about it. And this has that too. But those subtle changes in his vocal style and how he approaches it and how he sings, whatever register he's doing, if he's trying to mix it up, that's another reason. Now again, I'm not talking about how he sings and stuff like that. I mean, that's part of it as a whole, but I'm talking about the actual lyrics, the penned lyrics for these songs. And this is super powerful. But to fit it into the rest of the stuff that I talked about, you have to kind of take into consideration why those other songs are so much more powerful. And that does come into consideration. How he enunciates the lyrics, how he sings them, how he pauses on certain phrases, how he stretches out certain words, or the speed, or the slowness, or the spacing in between the words. I mean, all that stuff is important in how these songs are constructed and conveyed. And that brings in the musicianship aspect of it. So, I mean, that is kind of a part of it, even though the lyrics are penned. And we're talking about penned lyrics. The rest of this album, truly and honestly, is not that great lyrically. It's pretty bad. Songs that are okay and halfway decent, I mean, are probably Run Silent, Run Deep. And, I mean, Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, maybe. Holy Smoke. And I'm reaching out on a whim here on those bad boys. I mean, because they are lyrically, this whole album, Matt and I talked about this when we did the No Prayer for the Dying podcast episode. It's a jokey, corny, kind of like fluffy humor album. And you can see it. I mean, Tell Gunner. I mean, it's a joke. Public Enema #1. I mean, it's a jokey, corny album. And it's not in a good way either. It's not like it was successful. It's bad. It's a bad record. It's the worst Maiden album in my opinion. The weakest. By far. By far. And No Prayer for the Dying is probably the lyrical example that is actually kind of the closest thing to the emotional maturity that they showed with some of these other songs that I talked about on some of these other records. The emotional maturity they showcased on Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son. And the lyrical maturity and the subject matter maturity. This is not that. It's a complete 180 from that. But enough about No Prayer for the Dying, because I don't want to spend too much time on the weakest album. So, we'll move on to the second weakest Maiden album, in my opinion. And that for me is Fear the Dark. To echo pretty much everything that I said on No Prayer for the Dying, or about No Prayer for the Dying, the record as a whole, this is a weak album, lyrically, and from a song standpoint. It's a slight step up and a slight improvement from No Prayer for the Dying, but it's weak. In my opinion, and I've said this many times, I think this is the most overrated Iron Maiden album. I think it gets more credit than it deserves, but I think partially, if we talk about Iron Maiden and we're taking everything into consideration, it is because of that kick-ass artwork by Melvin Grant. It is because the songs are a step up from No Prayer for the Dying. It is because the title track is catchy as hell. I gotta give him credit. The weak portion about this album is there's 12 songs on it. Half are pretty good, decent. The other half are just garbage, in my opinion. You got 6 songs on this record that are okay, adequate. 2 or 3 that are like pretty good. And then you got 6 songs that are just utter garbage and monotony. And I don't like them at all. It's hard to find redeeming qualities on them. But the 6 songs that are okay and are good are better than that from No Prayer for the Dying. And that's why this is a step up. But for me, Fear of the Dark is the best lyrical song on this record. And I hate to say that, because it isn't really mature in a way like the other stuff we talked about. But lyrically, it does kind of have a feeling of Hallowed Be Thy Name and Number of the Beast kind of mixed together and mashed together. That's what I get when I look at the lyrics or I listen to it. It's almost like they took bits and pieces of the best couple songs from Number of the Beast and made this. And, it works. I am the man who walks alone, and when I'm walking a dark road at night or strolling through the park, when the light begins to change, I sometimes feel a little strange, a little anxious when it's dark. Fear of the dark. Fear of the dark. I have a constant fear that something's always near. Fear of the dark. Fear of the dark. I have a phobia that someone's always there. The verses are really good in this. Have you run your fingers down the wall, and have you felt your neck skin crawl when you're searching for the light? Sometimes when you're scared to take a look at the corner of the room, you've sensed that something's watching you. Back into the chorus. The verses. Have you ever been alone at night, thought you heard footsteps behind, and turned around and no one's there? And as you quicken up your pace, you find it hard to look again because you're sure there's someone there. And then my favorite section of the song is watching horror films the night before, debating witches and folklore. The unknown trouble's on your mind. Maybe your mind is playing tricks. You sense, and suddenly eyes fix on dancing shadows from behind. Back into the chorus a few times, and then the ending lines. When I'm walking a dark road, I am the man who walks alone. It's cool. Just sitting here looking at the lyrics again and just thinking about it while I'm talking about it here on this podcast episode. There's like a little bit of the Killer song kind of enmeshed in that too, a little bit, Like you're afraid of what's going on, this fear. And I think the reason that this song is so, lyrically good is because I get the imagery of the album cover when I listen to it. It really does have that same kind of like Power Slave vibe to it. The Power Slave song really makes the Power Slave cover come to life. And I think it's the same thing with this title track and this song. Another good song that's on here, honestly, and the runner-up for me, Afraid to Shoot Strangers is really good, but it's not the runner-up. I looking at it and listening to it again, there are some great parts to it, but I just don't think the lyrics are quite as powerful as what I maybe have spoken about or talked about or thought. I think the next best lyrical song on this record is Be Quick or Be Dead. I really do. Covered in sinners and dripping with guilt, making your money from slime and from filth, parading your bellies in ivory towers, investing our lives in your schemes and your powers. You gotta watch him, be quick or be dead. Snake eyes in heaven, the thief's in your head. You gotta watch him, be quick or be dead. Snake eyes in heaven, the thief's in your head. Then there's some cool breakdown parts. See what's ruling all our lives. See who's pulling the strings. See who's ruling all our lives. See who pulls the strings. I bet you won't fall on your face. Your belly will hold you in place. And then my favorite line in the song, my favorite verse, the serpent is crawling inside of your ear. He says you must vote for what you want to hear. Don't matter what's wrong, as long as you're all right. Pull yourself, stupid. Rob yourself blind. And it's interesting because it's a critique and a satire, and it's almost carries over that little bit of humor from like what No Prayer was trying to do with like Holy Smoke, in essence. But this is more geared toward like businessman and society and, you know, the 1% and all that stuff. People up in their ivory towers, right? And I like how Bruce says, ivory towers, it's good, right? It's catchy. But it takes that ideology from Holy Smoke and from No Prayer for the Dying and improves it and makes it better. And again, that just showcases why this album is a step up. It's for little subtleties like that. And, yeah, I mean, that's Fear of the Dark. Like I said, I mentioned a couple of the honorable mentions, a couple of the songs on there that I think are great lyrically. But for that particular album, it has to be, for me, the title track. Again, a mediocre album. Nothing really solid about it. Nothing really great about it. And that's just where I'm at with it. I don't want to talk too much about it. So I'm going to move on to... Now Bruce leaves the band in 1993. And... we get the X Factor, the first album with Blaze Bayley as the new lead singer. Best lyrical song on this record, for me, is Lord of the Flies. I think Sign of the Cross has amazing lyrics as well. And I just want to get it out of the way because I do think that the lyrics in Sign of the Cross are pretty damn amazing and pretty incredible. I mean, the part for Sign of the Cross, standing alone in the wind and rain, feeling the fear that is growing, sensing the change in the tide again, brought by the storm that is brewing. But again, taking that from a standpoint of The Name of the Rose, the book by Umberto Eco, and the movie with Christian Slater and Sean Connery, it's a literary work again. So it makes sense to me why the lyrics are strong, because there is subject matter there to base it off of. But Lord of the Flies is an amazing song, and I think it's underrated. It's very similar to that Infinite Dreams and Wasted Years kind of emotional feel that I love. And for me, I think it's Blaze's Wasted Years. I think it's Blaze's version of Wasted Years. I don't care for this world anymore. I just want to live my own fantasy. Fate has brought me to these shores. What was meant to be is now happening. I found that I like this living in danger. Living on edge, it feels. It makes me feel as one. Who cares now what's right or wrong? It's reality. Killing so we survive. Wherever we may roam. Wherever we may hide. We've got to get away. I don't want existence to end. We must prepare ourselves for the elements. I just want to feel like we're strong. We don't need a code of morality. This is my favorite verse. I like all the mixed emotion and anger. It brings out the animal, the power you can feel. And feeling so high on this much adrenaline. Excited but scary to believe what we've become. And then, as soon as he says that, believe what we've become, he tells you what we've become in the chorus. Saints and sinners, something within us. We are Lord of the Flies. Saints and sinners, something willing us to be Lord of the Flies. Again, this too is based on a literary work. If you're looking at the book Lord of the Flies, I read the book when I was in middle school. But it's not an epic in the sense of where Steve was like, this is the one we're going to, make this progressive, super instrumental, super tight, super, time changes, all this different kind of stuff, complex. It's more straightforward. And when I look at it, I love it. And it has this sentiment like, hey, when you need to survive, and it's survival of the fittest, and you're out there on your own, and you're living your life, and you're trying everything you're supposed to do, you're trying to be a good person, you're trying to be saintly. But you know what? When it comes down to it, if you have to survive, you might be a sinner. Right? You might make a choice that's technically evil. And there is no code of morality for that when you're trying to survive out there. When you're facing the elements. When you're facing bandits and people who were once your friends that stab you in the back. It's a really good concept, not only about the book, but also the book's trying to convey too. Like, hey, look, gotta survive, man. You got to keep plugging forward, and that's a positive connotation. You got to keep surviving, you got to keep plugging forward. And then a negative connotation is you might have to step on a couple toes to get to where you need to go. You might need to stab a couple people in the back to advance. Dog-eat-dog world ideology, right? And I think it's a really cool idea. And to hit that home with the dog-eat-dog stuff and the fact that you might have to stab people in the back and step on some people's toes, Steve was going through a really negative time at this point in time. He was either going through a divorce or just went through a divorce, and he's writing his feelings out. He's like, hey, look, life sucks, man. Sometimes you got to step on people's toes. Bruce left me. My wife left me. I mean, he's probably thinking about that. Adrian's gone. Like, thinks his life's falling apart and it's collapsing. And this is a reflection of that. So kudos for that. And Yannick is also the writer on this as well. So we kind of see a little bit of flourish of Yan coming into his own here a little bit. And lyrically, as a writer. And that's another reason why I dig it. And so like I said, Lord of the Flies and Sign of the Cross are both really great. Another really good song on this that I dig is Blood on the World's Hands. I think it has a really cool lyrical message. Sometimes it makes me wonder, sometimes it makes me question, sometimes it makes me saddened, always it makes me angry. But when you can see it happening, the madness that's all around you, nobody seems to worry. The world seems so powerless to act. And I love that. It's out of control. Blood on the world's hands, each day a new toll. But to apply it to some of the shit that we see around the world, especially in modern day. Again, to repeat what I said earlier, history repeats itself. Historical connotation that's placed in this. A timeless song because it's always happening. There's always good and evil. There's always bad. We're always going to see horrible shit going down. That's history, man. And that's why this album is actually really good. I mean, this is a step up. And to hate to sit here and say that and hate to say it because Bruce was great, Bruce was bad. Or he was on bad albums in the 90s. The whole band for those first two records when Bruce was still around. And Yannick made his appearance on No Prayer. No Prayer for the Dying and Fear the Dark are bad albums. They're weak. This is actually an improvement. This is a step up. This record is a good record all around. It's solid. It's not amazing, but it's a solid listen. It's worth a listen. It's very good. There's some gems on here. But moving on from the X Factor. The second album with Blaze and the last album with Blaze before the reunion when Bruce and Adrian came back and they became a six-piece. Virtual 11. Now, I think The Klansman is probably the best song on this record, but my favorite lyrical song on here is The Educated Fool. Again, because it's just so emotional. And this is Steve solo by himself writing this again. And I think it's just a great song. I'm an educated fool, so I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to do about this awkward situation. It's been forced down right upon me. As I'm walking down on my own into the valley of life. Got a lifetime of experience. Yeah, I've got so much to give. Open the page at chapter 1. Could this just be that life's just begun? Forever within your darker thoughts, reflecting on everything you've been taught. Never felt this way before. Seems that somebody's just opened the door to the book of life. Or is it death? Is there ever any way out? Someone's looking down on me, to the very inner core of my soul. They won't tell me what they see, but I really want to know. I want to live my life on my own. I want to lift the unturned stone. I want to walk right into the fire. I want to live out all my desires. I want to go and see the fire burn. I want to see and feel my world turn. I want to know what more there's to learn. I want to pass the point of no return. Do you really want to be just another one statistic? Or feel that you really should aspire, that you really do deserve more? Do you ever really feel that you have so much potential inside, what you really have to give could be realized much more? And then it goes back into the chorus, and then this little bridge part, time will flow, and I will follow. Time will go, but I will follow. And again, it's almost like another kind of anthemic wasted years feel. And I really dig this song. This has grown on me over the last probably 5 or 6 years. Immensely. This song has grown on me, and I love it. I love it. But it really encapsulates that whole ideology, right? And again, the society we live in, where education isn't valued just because you have a degree or a bachelor's or a master's or you have a trade or some kind of skill. It's about this whole thing. Do you really want to be another statistic, another number, another cog in the machine? Or do you want to go out there and do more? You have so much to give. And you sit there and you think about it. And it's like this guy is saying, I have all this education. And I can relate to this. I've struggled in my life. I've got to a point where I felt down, and I sometimes still do, about how I haven't achieved everything in my life, or I've reached the point of I can live my utmost potential. I have so much to give, right? That I have all these eclectic tastes and talents. I'm an amateur musician. I'm a history professor. I'm a law enforcement officer. I'm an investigator. I'm an artist. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. I'm a creator. But nobody wants to buy into it. I'm a mentor. I'm a philosopher. I wear all these different hats. And I have all these skills that I want to share with people, but there's no opportunity that presents itself for you to actually go out there and express all that and share that with the world. Because I really do feel like that's what everybody in their life wants to do, is to share what they're passionate about with other people. And when that's impeded and you can't do that, you hit a brick wall and you fall into depression. You fall into sadness. You feel like your life is meaningless. You feel like you're a number and a statistic. So this song is very, very powerful that way, and that's why I love it. Now, the second song on this record that I think is very, very good as well, that has pretty good lyrics, are Angel and the Gambler. No, I'm just kidding. Angel and the Gambler is super repetitive, and it's weak. It's a weak song. I do like lightning strikes twice. I feel the breeze on my face and expectance, not very long before the storm reaches here. Off in the distance, the lightning is flashing again. Feel something strong as the power draws near. Is it the rolling thunder that scares you? Is it the crashing of clouds that hold fear? But all I know as I sit in a corner alone, it takes me back to my childhood again. And as I wait and look for an answer to all the things going round in my head, I ask myself, could it be a disaster, and when it's maybe threatening to happen again? As the ominous light draws near, there's a lone dog howls in the park. All the people hurry inside as the lightning flash lights dark. The storm is nearly here. Only God will know. You're sitting alone, you watch as the wind is blowing treetops and the swaying rustling of leaves. Plenty, all time to perceive, as you wait for rain to fall. Maybe lightning strikes twice. Maybe lightning strikes twice. And he says it about 9 or 10 times, right? Only God knows. The whole sky glows. Maybe lightning strikes twice. It's interesting. Kind of a mysticism to it that I like. And again, I think it's underrated. I do think it's a little repetitive. And Virtual 11, when I was younger, I used to think that it was the worst album in their entire catalog. But as I've listened to it and I've become more mature and I've listened to their entire catalog and discography of albums and live stuff and B-sides and everything in between, over the last 20 years as a Maiden fan, this album has grown on me quite exponentially, and I have found a new appreciation and acceptance for it. And I think this record is better than No Prayer for the Dying and Fear the Dark. Now granted, it's nowhere near as good as the 80s stuff with Bruce, and it's nowhere near as good as the stuff in the reunion. But it's pretty good. It's decent. It's worth a listen, just like the X Factor. It's not quite as good as the X Factor, I don't think, but it's worth a listen. So moving on from that, we're going to finally get to the reunion, where Bruce and Adrian come back, Yannick remains, and the band becomes a 6-piece. So, I want to preface this reunion era albums and my favorite lyrical songs, or the best lyrical songs on these reunion era Iron Maiden albums, by saying that since the reunion, every album has a slew of just exquisite, masterful lyrical songs. Where in the 80s, even with the Bruce stuff, you might have 3, 4 pretty powerful lyrical songs that are great. I'm talking about on these reunion era records. 75 to 80% of the albums are downright amazing lyrically. And Brave New World is the first one. And I'm going to be honest, I can't pick my favorite lyrical song on this because I like several equally. And you're probably going to see that moving forward from these next couple albums. I love, and I'm just going to do these quickly because every song on this record, lyrically, in some way, shape, or form, is exquisite. Wicker Man. Hand of fate is moving and the finger points to you. He knocks you to your feet, and so what are you going to do? Your tongue has frozen. Now you've got something to say. The piper at the gates of dawn is calling you his way. You watch the world exploding every single night, dancing in the sun and newborn in the light. Say goodbye to gravity and say goodbye to death. Hello to eternity and live for every breath. I mean, it's insane. Ferryman wants his money, you ain't gonna give it back. He can push his own boat as you set up off the track. Nothing you can contemplate will ever be the same. Every second is a new spark, sets the universe aflame. And then your time will come. The chorus, your time will come. I mean, it's unbelievable. Ghost of the Navigator. I have sailed to many lands, now I make my final journey. On the bow I stand, west is where I go. Through the night I plow, still my heart calculate and pray. As the compass swings, My will is strong, I will not be led astray. Mysteries of time, clouds that hide the sun. But I know. I see the ghosts of navigators, but they are lost. As they sail into the sunset, they'll count the cost. As their skeletons accusing emerge from the sea, the sirens of the rocks, they beckon me. Take my heart and set it free, carried forward by the waves. Nowhere left to run, navigator son, chasing rainbows all my days. These are songs where I can literally say every lyric is amazing. Brave New World, dying swans, twisted wings, beauty not needed here. Lost my love, lost my life, in this garden of fear. I have seen many things in a lifetime alone. Mother love is no more. Bring the savage back home. Like I said, I can continue. Blood brothers, and if you're taking a walk through the garden of life, what do you think you'd expect you would see? It's like a mirror reflecting the moves of your life. And in the river, reflections of me. Just absolutely unbelievable. When you think that we've used all our chances and the chance to make everything right, keep on making the same old mistakes, makes untipping the balance so easy. When we're living our lives on the edge, say a prayer on the Book of the Dead. Unbelievable. The mercenary. Pay to kill, die to lose. Hunted, hunter, which are you? Diablo come again, to make trophies out of men. Lose your skin, lose your skull. One by one, the sack is full. In the heat, dehydrate. Know which breath will be your last. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You've got to kill to stay alive. Show them no fear, show them no pain. It's amazing. That might be one of the weaker ones on here. Dream of mirrors. Have you ever felt the future is the past, but you don't know how? A reflected dream of a captured time. Is it really now? Is it really happening? Don't know why I feel this way. Have I dreamt this time, this place? Something vivid comes again into my mind. And I think I've seen your face. Seen this room, been in this place. Something vivid comes again into my mind. All my hope and expectations, looking for an explanation. Have I found my destination? I just can't take no more. The dream is true. The dream is true. That whole line, the dream is true, is just an amazing line. It's amazing. And then the other, I only dream in black and white. I only dream because I'm alive. I only dream in black and white to save me from myself. It's amazing. Lost in a dream of mirrors. Lost in a paradox. Lost in time is spinning. Lost the nightmare I retrace. Lost a hell that I revisit. Lost another time and place. Lost a parallel existence. Lost a nightmare I retrace. Unbelievable. Fallen Angel might be on the weaker side lyrically, but still strong. Azazel is beside you and he's playing the game. Demons are inside you and they're making their play. Watching and they're hiding as they wait for a time, for the devil to get ready and take over your mind. You and only God would know what could be done. You and only God would know I am the only one. You and only God would know what could be done. You and only God will know I am the chosen one. And this is my favorite part. Could it be it's the end of our world? All the things that we cherish and love. Nothing left but to face this all on my own. Because I am the chosen one. It's amazing. The Nomad. Again. Like a mirage riding on the desert sand. Like a vision floating with the desert winds. Know the secret of the ancient desert lands. You are the keeper of the mystery in your hands. Unbelievable. Out of the silent planet. Withered hands, withered bodies begging for salvation, deserted by the hand of gods of their own creation. Nations cry underneath the decaying skies above. You are guilty. The punishment is death for all who live. The killing fields, the grinding wheels crushed by equilibrium. Amazing! Then moving on from that, the thin line between love and hate. When a person turns to wrong, is it a want to be belong? Part of things at any cost. At what price a life is lost? At what point do we begin? Fighter's spirit, will to win. But what makes a man decide to take the wrong or righteous road? There's a thin line between love and hate, wider divide that you can see between good and bad. There's a gray place between black and white, but everyone does have the right to choose the path that he takes. We all like to put the blame on society these days, but what kind of good or bad? a new generation brings. Sometimes takes just more than that. To survive the good at heart. There is evil in some of us. No matter what, will never change. I will hope, my soul will fly, so I will live forever. Heart will die, my soul will fly, and I will live forever. I mean, this is amazing, this record. And that's my favorite part, I will hope my soul will fly, so I will live forever. I mean, this album, Brave New World, is the first example in this podcast episode anyway where I love every song, lyrically the same. It's hard to separate. Now, I did kind of say some of the weaker ones. I think Mercenary and Fallen Angel are probably the weaker ones in terms of lyrics, but they're still really damn good. And that's what sets this album apart. Lyrically, it's absolutely mind-blowing. And moving on from that, to echo the same thing for the next record, Dance of Death. Wildest Dreams. I'm going to organize some changes in my life. I'm going to exorcise the demons of my past. I'm going to take the car and hit the open road. I'm feeling ready to just open up and go. And I just feel I can be anything. That all I might ever wish to be. And fantasize just what I want to be. Make my wildest dreams come true. And then the chorus. I'm on my way. Out on my own again. I'm on my way. Out on the road again. And then it changes when he says the last time and says, I'm on my way, I'm going to break away. I mean, another kind of wasted years, emotional, live your life to the fullest kind of thing. Like, live your wildest dreams, man. It's phenomenal. It's an amazing record. And Dance of Death is a really good album. I mean, I really dig it. The things that bring the record down comparably to the rest of the catalog is the artwork is atrocious. It's the worst artwork on any Maiden album. And there might be one or two songs on here that could have been cut. To make this a 10-song record in the new era, the new generation, it would have been up there with Brave New World as one of the greatest. Different artwork, maybe cut, I don't know, Age of Innocence off, or New Frontier, or Gates of Tomorrow, whatever, one of those. You have an amazing, solid record then at that point. Change the artwork. The rest of this album is amazing. Rainmaker. Lyrically amazing. When I was wandering in the desert, I was searching for the truth. I heard a choir of angels calling out my name. I had the feeling that my life would never be the same again. I turned my face towards the barren sun. And I know of the pain that you feel the same as me. And I dream of the rain as it falls upon the leaves. And the cracks in our lives, like the cracks upon the ground, they are sealed and are now washed away. And the chorus. You tell me we can start the rain. You tell me that we all can change. You tell me we can find something to wash the tears away. It's amazing. No more lies. Amazing. There's a darkened sky before me. There's no time to prepare. Salvage a lost horizon, but no regrets from me. Maybe I'll be back some other day to live again, just who can say. In what shape or form that I might be. Just another chance for me. A hurried time, no disgrace. Set a racing to conclusion and wishing all my life away. No one can stop me now. Time is up. It couldn't last, but there's more things I'd like to do. I'm coming back to try again. Someday. Maybe I'll wait till then. It's amazing. And then my favorite line in the song. They're all sitting at my table, talking tall and drinking wine. Their time is up just like me, but they just don't know it yet. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the rest of the song, every lyric. Montsegur. Again, this might be a step down lyrically, but it's still really good. I stand alone in this desolate space. In death, they are truly alive. Massacred innocents. Evil took place. The angels were burning inside. Centuries later, I wonder why. What secret they took to their grave. Still burning heretics under our skies. Religion still burning inside. The gates, the walls of Montsegur. Blood on the stones of the citadel. And that repeats. And then, just the rest of the song, and then my favorite line in the song is the Book of Old Testament crippled in black. Satan, his weapon is lust, leaving this evil damnation of flesh, back to the torture of lies. I mean, it's insane to me. It's about the Templars and the Cathars. I mean, just getting burned. It's heretics. It's unbelievable. Then the title track. This entire song is just unbelievable. How it starts, how it builds. Let me tell you a story to chill the bone about a thing that I saw. One night wandering in the Everglades, I had one drink, but no more. I mean, this whole thing, it's unbelievable. When you're lying in your sleep, when you're lying in your bed, and you wake from your dreams to go dancing with the dead, and then the closing of it. To this day, I guess I'll never know just why they let me go, but I'll never go dancing no more till I dance with the dead. Gates of Tomorrow, don't really find that one very interesting. New Frontier, not very interesting. Passchendaele, amazing. In a foreign field he lay, lonely soldier, unknown grave. On his dying words he prays, tell the world of Passchendaele. Really of all that he's been through, last communion of his soul. Rust your bullets with his tears. Let me tell you about his years. And then that whole transition. Laying low in a blood-filled trench. Kill time till my very own death. On my face I can feel the falling rain. Never see my friends again. In the smoke and the mud and lead. Smell the fear and the feeling of dread. Soon be time to go over the wall. Rapid fire and the end of us all. It's unbelievable. Whistle shouts and more gunfire. Lifeless bodies hang on barbed wire. Battlefield nothing but a bloody tomb. Be reunited with my dead friends soon. I mean, it's unbelievable. Many soldiers, 18 years. Drown in mud, no more tears. Surely a war no one can win. Killing time about to begin. And then the chorus part, the pre-chorus, whatever you want to call it. Home far away from the war, a chance to live again. Home far away. But the war, no chance to live again. The building, the bridge. The bodies of ours and our foes, the sea of death, it overflows. In no man's land, God only knows. In two jaws of death we go. I mean, that's unbelievable. This song is amazing. One of the best Maiden songs of all time. Cruelty has a human heart. Every man does play his part. Terror of the men we kill. The human heart is hungry still. I stand my ground for the very last time. Gun is ready as I stand in line. Nervous wait for the whistle to blow. Rush of blood, and over we go. And then just all the transitions in it. Blood is falling like the rain. Its crimson cloak unveils again. The sound of guns can't hide their shame. And so we die in Passchendaele. I mean, every lyric in the song. It is a absolutely phenomenal song. And then to close it, see my spirit on the wind, across the lines beyond the hill. Friend and foe will meet again, those who died at Passchendaele. The Battle of Passchendaele in World War I. It's a vivid depiction of it. It's unbelievable. I mean, you listen to this song, and if you look at this, you don't even have to read anything about Passchendaele to understand it. The thing that's beautiful about this song is it makes you want to. The thing that's beautiful about Maiden is it makes you want to explore that and do that and dive into the literature and the history. And I've said this a million times in this episode, but it's true. And this is one of those songs. Another one, Face in the Sand. Absolutely amazing. A critique on modern society, what we put on the news, propaganda, all this stuff. Everybody's waiting for something to happen. Everybody's waiting for something to see. Lunatics waiting for bigger disasters. Everybody's waiting for news on TV. It's true. Winding lives at the end of the spiral, waiting dictators with their next big thrill. Everyone's looking, but no one is listening. Everybody wants to be in at the kill. Right? It's always a competition. It's envy. It's greed. That whole ideology. I wait for the signs. They tell the truth. I see the signs of the end of time. In other words, we're going to kill each other, man. Everybody's searching, but nothing's revealing. Everybody's looking for the reason why. Everybody's hoping for life ever after. Everybody's looking at death from the sky. Everyone's nightmares are going to happen. Everyone's ripping the mask from their eyes. Everyone's praying, but no one's believing. Everyone's heroes tell everyone's lies. It's unbelievable. And then the last part, so I watch and I wait and I pray for an answer, an end to the strife and the world's misery. But the end never came, and we're digging the graves, and we're loading the guns for the kill. Can the end be at hand? Is the face in the sand? Future memory of our tragedy. It's amazing. An amazing critique. And then there's Age of Innocence, which I really don't find anything that great about. And then the closer, Journeyman. Just an amazing closer. The picture again that it paints from the red sky of the east to the sunset in the west. We have cheated death, and he has cheated us. But that was just a dream, and this is what it means. We are sleeping, and will dream forevermore. And the fragment remains of our memories, and the shadows we made with our hands. Deep gray came to mourn all the colors of the dawn. Will this journeyman's day be his last? And again, the chorus is like that thing, like, hey, look, do what you want to do with your life. Live it to the fullest. I know what I want, and I say what I want, and no one can take it away. That whole ideology. Then the last couple verses. But the memory still remains. All the past years, not so strange. Our winter times are like a silent shroud, and the heartbeat of the day drives the mist away, and winter's not the only dream around. In your life, you may choose desolation, and the shadows you build with your hands. But if you turn to the light that is burning in the night, then the journeyman's day has begun. It's like that whole motif, like, hey, look, every day is a new chance to turn everything around. You could be having your worst day ever. You could be sitting there wallowing in shame, despair, misery, all that stuff. But guess what? You can get up the next day and you can find that light that's burning in the night. And you can take a journey and you can go out there and do something with your life and be positive and be happy. And it's hard. It's hard. And that's what's great about Maiden, because they talk about all the bad stuff that happens in the world. They talk about the good stuff that happens, and they talk about ways philosophically in their mind to be like, hey, look, here's some wisdom for you. Go out there and just live. Just try. Just do it. Work hard. Something better will come along. You're deserving. You'll get it. I mean, it's just this amazing motif throughout all of their songs, most of their songs, and their trajectory and their wisdom. And they are that great. They are that great. It's really hard because there's so many good lyrical songs on those albums. Now with this record, again, man, and this, I might be biased, and it's probably because I was obsessed with the song for the longest time. Lyrically on this record, A Matter of Life and Death, I think The Legacy is the best lyrical song on this record. But again, I'm going to go through pretty much every song because I love all the lyrics. But we're going to get to The Legacy. I'm going to start off with Different World. Lead me on the path, keep showing me the way. I feel a little lost, a little strange today. I think I'll take a hold of whatever comes my way, then we'll see what happens. Take it day by day. I mean, it's great. And then the chorus, tell me what you can hear, and then tell me what you see. Everybody has a different way to view the world. I would like you to know, when you see the simple things, to appreciate this life. It's not too late to learn. And then there's like the positive side, appreciate the simple things, and the negative, I don't want to be here. Somewhere else I'd rather be. But when I get there, I might find it's not for me. Don't know what I want or where I want to be. I'm feeling more confused the more the days go by. Just that struggle between like being indecisive and not being happy, and that different world. Maybe it's not as good as you once had it. Maybe the grass isn't always greener on the other side. That whole concept, I love it. These colors don't run. It's the same in every country when you say you're leaving. Left behind the loved ones waiting silent in the hall. Where you're going lies adventure, others only dream of. Red and green light, this is real, and so you go to war. For the passion, for the glory, for the memories, for the money. You're a soldier for your country. What's the difference? All the same. Far away from the land of our birth, we fly a flag in some foreign earth. We sowed away like our fathers before. These colors don't run from cold, bloody war. It's great, and it talks about lonely, unmarked graves, all that kind of stuff. It's about soldiers going to war. And why do we do this? Why do we go to war? Why do we plant a flag in another country that we're not part of? What's the point? And it's kind of like that whole concept of being a soldier, and it's great. It's like a more mature version of the trooper. A more mature version of military and our veterans and our heroes. And it's like an homage to them. And it's great that way, and I love that. Brighter Than a Thousand Suns. Lyrically, this is one of the best lyrical Maiden songs ever about the apocalypse and nuclear war. You had 2 Minutes to Midnight. We talked about Total Eclipse and some other stuff, Facing the Sand to a certain extent. Some other songs that are related to that. Out on the Silent Planet maybe to a certain extent. This is about, the Manhattan Project. This is about Oppenheimer. This is about dropping the atomic bombs. We are not the sons of God. We are not his chosen people now. We have crossed the path he trod. We will feel the pain of his beginning. Shadow fingers rise above, iron-fingered stab the desert sky. Oh, behold the power of man, on its tower ready for the fall. Knocking heads together we'll raise a city built on living hell. Join the race to suicide. Listen for the tolling of the bell. Out of the universe a strange love is born. Unholy union, Trinity reformed. Yellow sun, its evil twin. In the black, the wings deliver him. We will split our souls within. Atom's seed to nuclear dust is written. Again, out of the universe a strange love is born, unholy union, Trinity reformed. Out of the darkness, better than 1,000 suns. It's amazing. And then there's that whole upbeat section. Whatever what Robert had said to his God about how we made war with the sun. E equals MC squared, you can relate how we made God with our hands. All nations are rising through acid veils of love and hate. Chain letters of Satan. Uncertainty led us all to this. All nations are rising through acid veils of love and hate. Cold fusion and fury. I mean, it's insane. Divide and conquer while ye may. Others preach and others fall and pray. In the bunkers where we'll lie, where the executioner, or in the bunkers where we'll die, where the executioners they lie. It's amazing. It's just so damn good. It's phenomenal. Parts of this song just really hit it home, and I don't know where to begin with it. I mean, bury your morals and bury your dead, bury your head in the sand. I mean, it's unbelievable. That whole section, I mean, that song is lyrically magnificent, and it really does paint that vivid picture of history. So, you know, when you talk about A Matter of Life and Death, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit before I get to The Pilgrim, but when they're making this record, they said, hey, why don't we take the formula of having an epic on every album and just make a whole album that's filled with epics? And you can see the majority of that taking place. They were crafting that on Brave New World. They experimented it with a little bit more on Dance of Death, but kind of took a step back and did some middle rangers on there. And then when they got to A Matter of Life and Death, they were like, this is it. And they might have one or two songs on here that are short little rockers, right? You got The Pilgrim. You got Different World. Maybe these colors don't run to a certain extent too. And then the rest of the album is epic. Epic songs. But The Pilgrim, even the lyrics on this, the keys to death and hell, the alien kingdom doomed to fail. The bonds of sin and heart will break. The Pilgrim's course will take. Quelling the devil's might and ready for eternal fight. Aching limbs and fainting souls. Holy battles take their toll. How amazing is that? Liberty and hope divine, changing water into wine. So to you we bid farewell, kingdom of heaven to hell. Spirit holy, life eternal, raise me up, take me home. Pilgrim sunrise, pagan sunset. Onward journey begun. It's just amazing. And absolutely phenomenal lyrical songs on this. Even The Longest Day. Well, The Longest Day musically might not be as captivating as the rest of the record. The lyrics are fucking great. In the gloom, the gathering storm abates. In the ships, gimlet eyes await. The call to arms to hammer at the gates. To blow them wide through evil to its fate. All summers long, the drills to build the machine. To turn man from flesh and blood to steel, from paper soldiers to bodies on the beach, from summer sends to Armageddon's reach. Overlord, your master, not your God, the enemy coast, dawning gray with scud, these wretched souls puking, shaking fear, to take a bullet for those who send them here. The world's all right, the cliffs erupt in flame. No escape, remorseless shrapnel rains. Drowning men, no chance for a warrior's fate. A choking death, enter hell's gate. And then the amazing chorus, like pre-chorus section. Sliding we go, only fear on our side. To the edge of the wire, and we rush with the tide. Oh, the water is red, with the blood of the dead. But I'm still alive, pray to God I survive. How long on this longest day, till we finally make it through? How long on this longest day till we finally make it through? It's just incredible. The rising dead, faces bloated, torn. They are relieved, the living wait their turn. Your number's up, the bullet's got your name. You still go on, to hell and back again. Valhalla waits, Valkyries rise and fall. The warrior tombs lie open for us all. A ghostly hand reaches through the wall. Blood and sand, we will prevail. Back in to the sliding we go, only fear on our side. It's not quite as transitional and musically composed as like Passchendaele would be, and it's kind of like trying to be the World War II version, so to speak, of Passchendaele. It's about D-Day. It's about the D-Day invasion, right? Normandy, Overlord. But Operation Overlord. But it's not quite as strong as Passchendaele was. But lyrically, it's damn good. It's amazing. Out of the shadows, just a different vibe. Hold a halo around the world, golden is the day. Princes of the universe, your burden is the way. So there is no better time. Who will be born today? A gypsy child at daybreak, a king for a day. Out of the shadows, into the sun. Dreams of the past, that the old ways are done. Oh, there is beauty, and surely there is pain, but we must endure it to live again. It's amazing, and it keeps going on, and then the very ending line is, a man who casts no shadow has no soul. It's just interesting to me. It's so good. And then these last couple songs, lyrically, are just in a row, and I've talked about this. This is the best stack of closers on any Maiden album, in my opinion. In a row. 7, 8, 9, and 10. 4 in a row that just level you. The reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg. Let me tell you about my life. Let me tell you about my dreams. Let me tell you about the things that happened. Always real to me. Let me tell you of my hope, of my need to reach the sky. Let me take you on an awkward journey. Let me tell you why. And just the riff and everything. And I know we're not talking about the musicianship, but it's amazing. Why should these curses be laid upon me? I won't be forgiven till I can break free. What did I do to deserve all this guilt? Pay for my sins with the sale of my soul. Demons are trapped all inside of my head. My hopes are gone. Reach for heaven from hell. My sins are many. My guilt is too heavy. The pressure of hiding. The pressure of knowing. Of hiding what I know. Excuse me. I'm able to see things I don't want to see. The lives of 1,000 souls weigh heavy down on me. It's insane. I just reincarnate, still in me, live again. This guy, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. These lyrical songs. Next up, For the Greater Good of God, another war epic. Are you a man of peace or man of holy war? Too many sides see you, don't know which anymore. So many full of life, but also filled with pain. Don't know just how many will live to breathe again. A life that's made to breathe destruction or defense. A mind that's vain corruption, bad or good intent. A wolf in sheep's clothing, a saintly or sinner. Or someone that would believe a holy war winner. This entire song is unbelievable. And I can go into every lyric, like I said, but this podcast is going to be 2.5 hours long by the time I'm done here because it's just so powerful, lyrically. For the greater good of God. Please tell me now what life is. Please tell me now what love is. Well, tell me now what war is. Again, tell me what life is. I said this before when I think I was ranking some of Steve's epics. This song really encapsulates for me the title of the album. A matter of life and death. Please tell me now what life is. Please tell me now what love is. Well, tell me now what war is. Again, tell me what life is. It's like, well, war is death, right? And what's life? But then again, life is also war too. You can live. You can live through a war. You can have that experience. It's a matter of life and death. It's a summation of the title track. There is no title track, but it's a summation of the album title. If this album did have a title, you could have changed this to, instead of For the Greater Good of God, to A Matter of Life and Death. You could have changed this track from For the Greater Good of God to A Matter of Life and Death, and it still would have fit the album. It still would have fit it. Next song, Word of Light. Wow. Beautifully constructed epic. There are secrets that you keep. There are secrets that you keep. There are secrets that you tell to me alone. I can't reach things I can't see. You don't see this strange world quite the same as me. Don't deny me what I am. Nothing hidden, still you fail to see the truth. These are things you can't reveal. We are part of some strange plan. Why the slaughter of the brotherhood of man? Infernal sacrifice of hell. Fire-breathing lead the way. Mounds of bodies as they all burn into one. Revenge is living in the past. Time to look into a new millennium. Spiral path leads through the maze, down into the fiery underworld below. Fire-breathing lead the way. Lucifer was just an angel led astray. And then the chorus, free your soul and let it fly. Give your life to the Lord of Light. Keep your secrets and reign on me. All I see are mysteries. And there's like this really cool bridge part. We are not worthy in your black and blazing eyes. We gather demons in the mirror every day. The bridge of darkness casts a shadow on us all. And all our sins to you we give this day. Others wait their turn. Their lives are meant to last. Use yours wisely as the light is fading fast. Free your soul and let it fly. Mine was caught. I couldn't try. Time returns again to punish all of us. We are cast out by our bloody Father's hand. We are strangers in this lonely promised land. We are the shadows of the one unholy ghost. In our nightmare world, the only one we trust. And then the chorus again. You know, it's questioning religion. It's kind of like Infinite Dreams, but in a darker connotation. It's looking at it from, like, you know, Lucifer's perspective, the Lord of Light. Why was he cast out of heaven? And are we actually, we talked about this before, the Gospel of Thomas, you know, Lucifer and Jesus are brothers. And you see this imagery all the time. You have, in old cartoons, there's a devil sitting on the left-hand shoulder of a person or a character, and there's the angel sitting on the right-hand shoulder, and the devil's whispering all the more animalistic, bestial side of humanity, right? The primal side of humanity, and the angel's always the one saying, no, don't do that kind of thing, don't be mischievous, don't do this, don't do that, don't take risks. And you do question it, you know, it's like, is it about to put balance? Is it a control tactic? And historically, throughout history, we did learn that sometimes it was a control tactic, sometimes it was, and I'm not saying it is, I'm not trying to diminish anybody's faith and say that it's not. But it's just questioning that. It's like, well, what is there to believe? But then again, you go back and you talk about it. It all boils down to what you believe and what you think and how you feel and where your belief system lies and your faith lies and all that stuff. And nobody's right or wrong. Each individual has the right to choose, right? So I just think it's beautiful the way they constructed that and made it about looking at it through that prism. That was interesting. And now we get to the final song on the album. And I know I've exhausted A Matter of Life and Death because, as everyone knows, it's one of my favorite Maiden albums of all time, one of my favorite albums of all time, period. So, this song is, from beginning to end, a lyrical sojourn, a masterpiece. Much like many of the songs I talked about on this record. Tell you a thing that you ought to know, 2 minutes of your time, then on you go. Tell tale of the man all dressed in black. Most of them not coming back. Sent off to war to play little games, and on their return can't name no names. Some strange yellow gas has played with their minds, has reddened their eyes, removed all the lies. And strange as it sounds, death knows no bounds. How many get well, only time will tell. You lie in your deathbed now, but what did you bring to the table? Brought us only holy sin. Utter trust is a deadly thing. To the prayer of holy peace, we didn't know what was lying underneath, so how could we be such fools? And to think that we thought you knew the answer. I can't begin to understand in all the lies, but on your deathbed I can see it in your eyes. Just as clear as all the sweat upon your brow. It really makes sense. I can see it clearly now. Tangled up in a web of lies, could have been a way to prophesize, unaware of the consequence, not aware of the secrets that you kept, nothing that we could believe, to reveal the facade of faceless men, not a thing that we could foresee, now a sign that would tell us the outcome. You had us all strung out with promises of peace, but all along your cover plan was to deceive. Can it be put to rights now? Only time will tell. Your prophecies will send us all to hell as well. Left to all our golden sons, all to pick up on the piece. You could have given all of them a little chance, at least. Take the world to a better place. Given them all just a little hope. Just think what a legacy you now will leave. That whole part is just immaculate. I mean, it's amazing. And this latter portion here, the rest of the song is my absolute favorite part of this song. The summation of this song, the summation of this record, the finale, the epicness of this. This song is one of my favorite lyrical Iron Maiden songs, and it could possibly be the best. If you were to sit here and rank every song lyrically, I don't know. I'd have to do that. On this record, definitely is my favorite. Definitely is the best, in my opinion. But like I said, I mentioned all those others as well. But this section right here is the reason why this damn thing takes the cake for me. And here we go. We seem destined to live in fear, and some that would say Armageddon is near. But where there's a life, while there's hope, that man won't self-destruct. Why can't we treat our fellow men with more respect and a shake of their hands? But anger and loathing is rife, and death on all sides is becoming a way of life. We live in an uncertain world where fear, understanding, and ignorance is leading to death. Only the corpses are left for vultures that prey on their bones. That is just immaculate. Then there's this little musical ditty, and then the end. But some are just not wanting peace. Their whole life is death and misery. The only thing that they know is fight fire with fire. Life is cheap. But if they do stop to think that man is teetering right on the brink, but do you think that they care? They benefit from death and pain and despair. It's unbelievable. You take that song, and this song, The Legacy, and if you go back and listen to some of the epics I talked about, when we're talking about warfare, and we're talking about emotion, and the meaning of life, and what does it mean to be alive, and all that stuff. We talked about it on all the records up to this point. There is some connotation of that. If you mix and match and mold and make something out of that, if you take bits and pieces of all those songs to create this grandiose, grandeur epic, there's about every piece of the songs that I talked about, a lot of them, you get the legacy. You get the legacy. There's a corruption piece in here. There's a piece in here that advises you to treat others with respect. There's a piece in here that advises you to be honest and live your life truthfully and fully. There's a piece in this song that talks about emotion and not to waste your time and to go out there and push forward, right? And it also talks about some of the other stuff we talked about with Be Quick or Be Dead, or some of the lyrics from Holy Smoke, giving people false promises and false hope. The corruption, like I said, it's all wrapped into this song in this amazing, pristine package. And this song is just, to this day, amazing to me. I never get sick of listening to this. It's an underrated gem. When most people think about Iron Maiden, they don't think about the legacy. It's not one of the songs that pops to the top of their head most regularly. It's not. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This album is one of my favorites because not only this song, but there's amazing stack of closers towards the end and throughout the entire duration of this record. I think this is the most mature Maiden album ever written, musically and lyrically, and that's why it's one of my favorites of all time. So moving on from this record, because we have so much to cover, we're going to go to The Final Frontier. My opinion of The Final Frontier, if you know me, you know it's a mixed bag for me. I think it's the weakest record since the reunion. I still enjoy it. I still think it's a good album. But I do think it's the weakest record since the reunion. My favorite lyrical song on this is Starblind. And it's phenomenal. Take my eyes. There's things I've seen in this world coming to an end. My reflection fades. I'm weary of these earthly bones and skin. You may pass through me and leave no trace. I have no mortal face. Solar winds are whispering. You may hear me call. We can shed our skins and swim into the darkened void beyond. We will dance among the world that orbit stars that aren't our sun. All the oxygen that trapped us in a carbon spider's web. Solar winds are whispering. You may hear the sirens of the dead. Left the elders to their parley, meant to satisfy our lust, leaving Damocles still hanging over all their promised trust. Walk away from freedoms offered by their jailers in their cage. Step into the light, start tripping over mortals in their rage. Star blind with sun, the stars are one. We are the light that brings the end of night. Star blind with sun, the stars are one. We are with the goddess of the sun tonight. The preacher loses face with Christ, religion's cruel device is gone. Empty flesh and hollow bones make pacts of love but die alone. The crucible of pain will forge, the blanks of sin begin again. You are free to choose a life to live, or one that's left to lose. I love that. You are free to choose a life to live, or one that's left to lose. Amazing. Virgins in the teeth of God are meat and drink to feed the damned. You may pass through me, and I will feel the life that you live less. Step into my light, start tripping. We will rage against the night. Walk away from comfort offered by your citizens of death. It's amazing. And then more chorus stuff. Take my eyes for what I've seen. I will give my sight to you. You are free to choose whatever life to live or life to lose. Whatever God you know, he knows you better than you believe. In your once and future grave, you'll fall endlessly deceived. Look into our face reflected in the moonglow in your eyes. Remember, you can choose to look, but not to see, and waste your hours. You believe you have the time, but I tell you, your time is short. See your past and future all the same, and it cannot be bought. That, to me, and the reason I love this song so much is I feel like it's a continuation to a certain extent from the legacy. There's this kind of futuristic spin on it that's questioning religion, but it's questioning it from like an intergalactic perspective. Like, we're not the only thing in this solar system. We're not, humankind and human beings aren't the only entities or the only peoples or the only species on Earth, in this galaxy, in space. I mean, there's something more out there that we don't know about, and that's kind of what this is questioning. Look, if you go up in there's so much you don't know. But it's looking at it from this really cool, like I said, perspective. Like, we're not the only things in this galaxy. And it's really neat in the continuation of it, and I love it so much. And I love Starblind. It is my favorite song. Ever since I heard it from the beginning, it was one of my favorites. Weaker songs on this: Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. There's not much to say about that. I don't think lyrically it's that great. El Dorado, the same thing. It's okay. It's not that great. Mother of Mercy, okay, not that great. Coming Home is good. I do like it. It's like a more modern day Wasted Years with Bruce. When I stand before you shining in the early morning sun. When I feel the engines roar and I think of what we've done. Oh, the bittersweet reflection as we kiss the earth goodbye. As the waves and echoes of the towns become the ghosts of time. I mean, it's pretty cool. And I do like the part to Albion's Land, coming home, when I see the runway lights. In the misty dawn, the night is fading fast. Coming home, far away, as their vapor trails align. Where I've been tonight, you know I will not stay. It's very good. The Alchemist. You know, I used to kind of despise this song when I first listened to this album, but it's grown on me over the years, and I do think it's catchy. I like the upbeat kind of pace to it. It's interesting. And it's about John Dee, the alchemist, the English alchemist. Stranger than the comet as it streaks across the sky, stranger than the truth I know before my open eyes. I have dealt in mysteries and trickery of light to entertain, looked into the abyss, called it by its name. I've plundered time itself, put the world inside it, and the mysteries, day and night, divide it. A plague of wonders, on your knees beside me, know the secrets, you shall not deride us. My dreams of empire from my frozen queen will come to pass. Know me, the Magus. I am Dr. D, and this is my house. I love it. And then he talks about, I am the master of the tides. I shame the mirror in my sight. What random music of the spheres across the years. Know this, I will return to this land, rebuild where the ruins did stand. Chain of the demons set free. Strange alchemy. It's a pretty catchy song. And I love it, and it continues. And it's grown on me over the years. But as you can see with this record, as opposed to Brave New World, Dance of Death, and The Matter of Life and Death, which I exhausted lyrically, there are songs on this aren't as captivating as those other albums. And that's why, for me, it's the weakest. Now, after The Alchemist, we get to Isle of Avalon. Amazing lyrics. I can hear them floating on the wind, immortal souls, their weeping saddens me. Mother Earth, you know your time is near. Awaken lust, the seed is sown and reaped. Through the western isle I hear the dead awaken, rising slowly to the court of Avalon. The cauldron of the head of Anwen laced with envy, dark around its edge with pearl and destiny. All my days I've waited for the sign, the one that brings me closer to the Isle of Avalon. I can feel the power flowing through my veins. My heart is beating louder close to Avalon. And then, I can hear you, can you hear me, that thing. And then, when Bruce unleashes this part, this is my favorite part of the song. Fertility, mother goddess, celebration, sow the seeds of the born. The fruit of her body laden, through the corn dough you will pray for them all. The image of mother goddess lying dormant in the eyes of the dead. The sheaf of the corn is broken, and the harvest, throw the dead on the pyre. I mean, it's amazing. It's Welsh mythology. It's about the Celtic otherworld. It's paganism. And it's amazing the way it's done. And I love it. And I've talked about Starblind, and we're going to move on to The Talisman, another great song. When I stand and look about the port and contemplate my life, will I ever see my countrymen again? As the captain calls us on the deck, I take my things and walk. To the harbor side, I glance back one last time. Fleeing our nation, our problems we leave behind, ships by the tenfold sail out on the tide. We are pleased to be out and embracing the open sea, free from our troubles and more free from thee. Inheritors unfulfilled reason behind us. We flee from what is, not what is will be. We flee the earth and face our harsh reality. Will death be low mist that hangs on the sea? And it just continues. It's almost like Bruce, when you hear him sing it, he's telling you this pirate tale. It's like Pirates of the Caribbean, right? It's like it's a pirate story. It's a sailing story about this magical item, and it's unbelievable. You know, westward the tide, westward we sail on, westward the tide, sail by the talisman. It's so good. And it's about them surviving this voyage, and it's really good. I don't want to dive too deep into it, because like I said, we still got some albums to cover. There's still 2 songs on this left over. But The Talisman is an amazing lyrical song. After that, The Man Who Would Be King. Now, I think this is a little bit of a step down, too, again. And this is, again, why this album is a little bit weaker. It doesn't have that same quality of lyrics that some of these previous ones in the reunion had. As he travels on the beast of burden, moving up along the mountainside, as he gazes looking down the valley, no regrets but his pride. As he journeys across mountain passes, a significance sweeps overhead, his reflection of the beauty around him feeling empty inside. And then it's pretty good, and it builds. Destiny, no good to hide away, penance now will be his only way. Understand, no good to run away, penance now will be his saving grace. Far, far away, the man who would be king. Far, far away, the man who would be king. Nothing really too strong about that one. I mean, it's good. I like it. The lyrics are cool, but again, it just doesn't captivate as some of these other ones. And as you can see, this is why, again, I say it again, this is why it's a weaker reunion album. Just from that example I gave, that's supposed to be one of the epics on the album, a longer song, and it just doesn't, it's not quite as powerful as the stuff on Brave New World, Dance of Death, or A Matter of Life and Death. And even the closer, this last song, right? When the Wild Wind Blows. Again, this is based on a literary work, but it's just not as powerful as The Legacy, or Journeyman, or The Thin Line Between Love and Hate, for that matter. Have you heard what they said on the news today? Have you heard what is coming to us all? That the world as we know it will be coming to an end. Have you heard? Have you heard? He sees them in the distance where the darkened clouds roll. He can feel tension in the atmosphere. He would look into the mirror, see an old man now. Does it matter? They survived somehow. Now, I mean, musically, this is great. And then there's parts in it that are cool. He sees the picture on the wall. It's falling down, upside down. He sees a teardrop from his wife roll down her face, saying grace. Remember times they had, they flash right through his mind, left behind. Of a lifetime spent together long ago, will be gone. And this is kind of that. Now, this is a literary thing based on an apocalypse or a fallout. But again, lyrically, it's not as powerful as like 2 Minutes to Midnight, Total Eclipse, Brighter Than 1,000 Suns. So, after reviewing the Final Frontier and some of these lyrics on here, you can see why I don't feel like this record is as strong as some of the other stuff. And now I'm done exhausting the idea that the Final Frontier is, in my opinion, the weakest album they've done since their reunion. And I'm going to go on to the Book of Souls. Now, wow. Where do we go with Book of Souls? This is insane to me. This is another album that just has amazing lyrics on it. Just amazing lyrics. And I don't know, again, which one to pick on this. I'm narrowing it down to two. It's between The Red and the Black and Empire of the Clouds for best. My favorite. But, man, everything on this record, for the most part, besides two songs, Tears of a Clown and Man of Sorrows, which is garbage, have some pretty damn really good lyrics. Speed of Light, it's not that great either, but we all know If Eternity Should Fail. I'm not going to exhaust it. I'm just going to go through this and go to the very end of the song because I think it's absolutely amazing. Good day, my day is necropolis. I am formed of the dead. I am the harvester of the soul meat, and I suck the lives from around my bed. My own two sons, I gave them breath, and I filled their living corpses with my bile. What humanity I knew I have forgotten. For me, eternity is nothing but a short while. And it's amazing, and the chorus is great. Reef in a sail at the edge of the world if eternity should fail. Waiting in line for the ending of time if eternity should fail. It's an amazing opening track for this record. Speed of Light is decent. It's, again, not that great. Another time, another place, a hollow universe in space. I took a trip to see the sights. I will be blacker than the night. I mean, it's okay. Not that great. Great Unknown, then, takes it up several pegs. I mean, beautiful song, lyrically. Winter softly falling to the ground, calmly waiting, don't you hear a sound? When the world has fallen to the depths below, where the future's open and the fear is grown, and the path to follow to the great unknown, where the dark has fallen and the seed is sown. It's a beautiful song. Amazing. Never ending the desires of men, it'll never be the same or calm again. In a time of changing hearts and great unknown, it'll be the damnation and end of us all. Red and the Black, I've exhausted this song beyond belief. And it's amazing. The morals of life and the perils of death, take the wrong way out, running out of breath, meet my match in the afterlife, suppress the demons that plague the night. I could go on and read every lyric in this song, listen to this song. It's unbelievable. When the river runs deep, again, kind of a step down, but still pretty amazing. Like, the chorus in this is so good. Now with nothing to hide, going nowhere, take my chances and stand by their sides. When the river runs deep and the line breaks, and the blood it flows free from our lives. Man, is it beautiful. Beautiful. Book of Souls is amazing. Sacrifices buried with kings accompany them on a journey with no end, to an afterlife that's rich with fruit of all the gods, and to face the demons of their underworld haunts. And the chorus is amazing. Prophecy of sky gods, the sun and moon, passing of old ways will come true soon. Amazing. Falling of ages, forest of kings, the search for the truth, the Book of Souls, the rulers of planets and stars. It encapsulates the civilization. Listen to the song. It's unbelievable. Death or Glory, super catchy. I love it. I see the enemy. I know he can't see me. Combat red in tooth and claw. Ready now for one more score. Took a bullet in my brain. Inside I'm the king of pain. Outside you will fear my name. I ride a blood-red triplane. Turn like the devil, shoot straight from the sun, climb like a monkey out of hell where I belong. And the fact that they use that climb like a monkey thing, man, live is amazing. You know, you think it's corny and it's a joke, but it actually turns out really well. And when you think about it, this is about the Red Baron, a World War I fighter pilot in a triplane, talking about how to navigate and operate and fly one of these triplanes. It's like the guy's giving you a description of how to do that. And it's perfect. And I love it. I love this song. It's so good. My favorite verse in the song is I watch you spiral down, dead before you hit the ground. Bullet got you in the back, deflection shooting beam attack. I shoot the gunner first. I kill to quench my thirst. I hunt the weakest prey, live to fly another day. It's just unbelievable, man. Shadows of the Valley. It's so good. Wandering aimlessly in a cold dark mist I follow, walking in a dark world that's been kissed with sadness. Without sunlight, things are born to the dead of nightmares, soulless demons laughing in a sea of madness. It's amazing. Listen closely to the raven's call, praying hard for our world not to end. Try as might to make sense of it all. Will it be for the penance of men? Follow north for the call of the wild. Look all out for a small wayward child. Lay in fear as the dark raven crows. Look for guidance from the one who knows. It's like going to find a seer. It's so good. Man. And this album is just really damn good. Tears of a Clown, I don't think it's that great. No redeeming qualities. Man of Sorrows, I've listened to this song several times. It's a skip. I can't. It's a shameful song to be on this record. This song should have been eliminated from this album. It should have been 10 songs and it would have been a perfect record. I could look over Speed of Light, look over Tears of a Clown. Man of Sorrows ruins it for me. Every time I see it, I'm just like, ah. Now Empire of the Clouds. Wow, a tour de force. 18 minutes and 1 second. Bruce again. Talking about Revelations, talking about Power Slave, talking about Empire of the Clouds. Lyrically, genius. Based on a book that Bruce read about the R101, I think it's called To Ride the Storm. And that's how it starts. To ride the storm. To an empire of the clouds. To ride the storm. They climbed aboard their silver ghosts. To ride the storm. To a kingdom that will come. To ride the storm. And damn the rest. Oblivion. Royalty and dignitaries, brandy and cigars. Grey lady, giant of the skies, you hold them in your arms. The millionth chance they laughed to take down His Majesty's craft. To India, they say, magic carpet float away. An October fateful day. Mist is in the trees. Stone sweats with the dew. The morning sunrise, red before the blue. Hanging at the mast, waiting for command, His Majesty's airship, the R101. She's the biggest vessel built by man, a giant of the skies. For all you unbelievers, the Titanic fits inside. Drum roll tight, her canvas skin, silvered in the sun. Never tested with the fury, with the beating yet to come. The fury yet to come. In the gathering gloom, a storm rising in the west, the coxswain stared into the plunging weather glass. We must go now, we must take our chance with fate. We must go now, for a politician, he can't be late. The airship crew awake for 30 hours at full stretch, but the ship is in their backbone, every sinew, every inch. She never flew at full speed, a trial never done. Her fragile outer cover, her Achilles would become, an Achilles yet to come. Sailors of the sky, a hardened breed, loyal to the king and an airship creed. The engines drum, the telegraph sounds. Release the cords that bind us to the ground. And it just builds and builds and builds. And it's just amazing. And it talks about the R101 flying, taking off, floating, and then crashing. And it's just absolutely amazing. And these last couple verses are just phenomenal to me. Here lie their dreams as I stand in the sun, on the ground where they built and the engines did run, to the moon and the stars. Now what have we done? Oh, the dreamers may die, but the dreams live on. And Bruce just wails, dreams live on, the dreams live on. He says it. And then the closing verse is just beautiful. It's a beautiful song. And now I sit here and I think about it, this is probably the one. This one takes the cake. This is the best lyrical song on the album. And I know it's about a book and it's literature, but it is. Now a shadow on a hill, the angel of the east, the empire of the clouds, may rest in peace. And in the country churchyard, laid head to the mast, 840 souls came to die in France. Wow. What a phenomenal song. What a phenomenal record. You can see now, and I talk about this, and I'm going to freaking bring up Final Frontier again. Why Final Frontier is the weakest. The three that came before it, now this one after, and then this last one we're going to talk about, this is why Final Frontier is the weakest. It's because of albums like Book of Souls, Brave New World, Dance of Death, Matter, Life, and Death. I'm not saying Final Frontier is a bad album. It's a good album. It's a good album. But it's not on the level of those others. And that's the reason why. And now we get to Senjutsu, the last album. And this podcast is long as hell. And I'm sorry, and I apologize. And I know I went off on some tirades and some rants and changed the subject matter and went off on tangents. But, you know, I'm doing this organically and naturally as I sit here and record and think and process, and that's what happens. Especially when you're nuts like me. Bruce's podcast, Psycho Schizo Espresso. That's me, right? But the best song on this record, lyrically for me, is The Parchment. It's just amazing. It's like no contest. I mean, stuff is close, don't get me wrong. It's kind of like a matter of life and death, you know. The Parchment slightly edges out some of the more other epic songs on this. Just the beginning. When the moon will rise again until we read the Parthian skin. Broken fears, warring days are here again. For we all to dust descend. Heaven knows where life will end. God to know in the mire, put out the fire. Know there is a cross to bear, in your primal quest for fear. No quarter now is given no less. A slumber was my main ideal, asunder did my spirit steal, sceptered race, uttered words and disgrace. Sweet revenge will be ours, vengeance of his shaken world. Just remember that patience is no sin. And to find another way, live to breathe another day. Lord of light, in the darkness, our guide. Then there's a bunch of musicianship and solos and all kinds of stuff going on. And then you have the best part of the song. One of the coolest bridge sections or breakdowns or whatever you want to call it in any Maiden tune, any epic. And I wish they would play this damn song live because this shit is killer. In a tempest never shaken, edge of doom is not mistaken, countenance is not a sin, gallant king we bow to him, fierce as wolf with a leopard skin, dark and bitter deep within, invader punished with his life, vanquished in the morning, sea of blood in light divine, unholy reverence enjoyed, intoxicated with their hell, man immortal, sickness dwell, savage beasts, troop engage, assembled here to butcher blades, smoke has darkened in the air, smell of death and deep despair. Wilderness, a tyrant dream. Sell your soul, not give them power. Slay upon the imperial crown. Witness now the witching hour. Bound himself to oath and king. Such loyalty, a shameless thing. Youth of agony still burn, shedding parents' blood. Never say a prayer to me for this crime and treachery. Drinking from your cup of wisdom true. Many men will follow you. Now an army is raised, and our gods, they be praised. Death is but a gilded edge, shall be no more than we will pledge. And then the part, hear the cry, we are ready to believe. Then it goes back into this other, chanting verse, bridge thingy. The prodigal has returned, give us our own revenge. With the power he learned, we will burn the same again. A betrayal of angels in a foreign land. A revenge for the merciful destiny at hand. For all those who have written, in the sand will be told that the same will happen, searching for gold. Like a fire in the sky, I can feel strength return. Heading for afterlife. Meet me there. Wow. Damn, son. The thing about this record is this, and I've said this for the last two albums, Book of Souls and Senjutsu. This is Steve's record, right? And this is kind of like Steve. I don't know if there's competition, but it's like, the beauty of it is they can all excel exponentially in this. And as Bruce had Book of Souls, and he penned, the bookends of that record, If Eternity Should Fail and Empire of the Clouds, and I was talking about how amazing Empire of the Clouds was. Steve, man, coming in clutch with this stuff. Steve, Bruce, Adrian, Dave, Yan, Nico. Nico doesn't write music, right? He doesn't write lyrics. But if you look at the other 5 writers in the band, they're all needed. And it's interesting to me while I sit here and I talk about this last record, because when I talk about these albums and these songs, you can see how every single one of them matured, and they're all needed in the band now to create this stuff lyrically, musically, etc. And that's the beauty of it. The second best song on this record lyrically for me is Hell on Earth. Beginning of a sunrise bores a big hole in the sky, not to reason why that armed children are in this world, and fighting in the name of God's way, mourning bleak and utter waste, the vanity of the world is assured now. Prey upon the weak no more, the spirits of those who are gone, propaganda of the battles that are lost and won, and count your blessings still alive, of those who manage to survive inside oblivion of that hell on earth. All you have been, all you have seen, lost in somewhere in your dreams, how the angels, they have fallen, all is nothing what it seems. In the voices that you hear now, in the voices in your head, now are thinking of a lifetime you can never feel again. And then the pre-chorus part, I wish I could go back, will never be the same again, bled for all upon this hell on earth. And when I leave this world, I hope to see you all again, on the other side of hell on earth. Upon the eyes of good, I'm following the light again, in between the dark of hell on earth. On the other side, I'll see again in heaven, so far away from this hell on earth. And then, the best part of the song, my favorite part of the song, and I know it's only a couple lines, but it's so damn powerful in this song. You dance on the graves who bled for us. Do you really think that they'll come for us? Knowledge and virtue taken by lust. Live on the edge of those that you trust. You think that you've had all your answers for all. In your arrogant way, only one way to fall. Burning a lamp that is fire in your hands, taking you further from these lands. Love in anger. Life in danger. Lost in anger. Life in danger. What an awesome way to close this record out. And it's very akin to When the Wild Wind Blows into Legacy, and that kind of end of the world kind of motif, and the questioning of what are we doing with our lives. There's people out there who are dying, children. We're arming children in this world. What are we doing? And that's the beauty of this album and this record. And you've heard the podcast, if you've been listening. That's why for me, this is a 10 out of a 10 album. Death of the Celts is also amazing. The road it winds uphill all the way. Ride to glory on this day. Remember now to do him so proud. In God we trust. Cry it out loud. It's like Bruce is telling you a story. It's so good. Dying, a warrior coat has no fear. Immortal, for he will live evermore. The lyrics on this record are so good. Darkest hours, amazing. We buried our sons. We turned and fled. No growing old. The glory is dead. But we came back because one man said, now on the beaches, the blood runs red. World War II about Winston Churchill and his decisions. Another war song about World War II. The Time Machine. Some of the lyrics on here are really good. I don't think structurally, song-wise, it's the greatest song on the record. I like it, but it's one of the weaker ones in my opinion. But the lyrics are really cool. Put to the sword by an impish whim, follow me now to a place we begin, wrought with no anger, wrought with no fear, devilish children playing here. It's interesting. Hidden in silence, below barren waste, confusion, hunger, am I still awake? I mean, it's really cool. Days of Future Past is catchy. It's so good. A war in heaven and God's rage. He put me in this burning cage. Holy fury locks me in, imprisoned by my deadly sin. Every hour the Shadow King wonders what his clock will bring. I've lived in love, and that's for sure, my fatal quest forevermore. The days of future past, to wander on the shore, a king without a queen, to die forevermore. To wander in a wasteland, immortal to the end, waiting for the judgment, but the judgment never ends. It's amazing. It's an amazing album, an amazing record. Lost in a Lost World, absolutely insane. About Native Americans, the people worshiping the sun, and all the children point up to the sky. They see the eagle as it floats on the wind, and they follow with their spirits high. Buffalo roam on the plain. The imagery, Lost in a Lost World. The end of this song is just amazing. It's so amazing. Remember names of all are dead now, and enemies have fled, reaching for a sky forever free, a sadness that is proud, as the clouds all drift away now until we meet again. I mean, it's amazing. Even the beginning of the song, all is not it seems to be on the outside. Sometimes what appears to be is a show. What shows in the face is only a mirror. We all have some better places to go. This is an amazing album. Writing on the Wall also has absolutely amazing lyrics. Across a painted desert lies a train of vagabonds. All that's left of what we were, it's what we have become. Once our empire is glorious, but now the empire's gone. The dead gave us the time to live, and now our time is done. Now we are victorious. We've become our slaves. A land of hope and glory, building graveyards for the brave. It's incredible. And then, have you seen the writing on the wall? Have you seen that writing? Can you see the riders on the storm? Can you see them riding? It's like, we've created this. We are destroying ourselves. It's that whole motif. Again, the writing on the wall, man. Stratego has some incredible lyrics, too. For a short rocker, it's absolutely incredible. Lyrically, it's amazing. How do you read a madman's mind? Teach me the art of war, for I shall bring more than you bargained for. Give me an ultimatum that I cannot dream of, spills of a crying nation upon my soul. For I have not a mortal soul, that you already know. Look at my eyes, there's no surprise. And then this part is just absolutely amazing. Ocean is black, the devil's track, looking beyond beneath the sea. Eye of the storm is here again, been there before you were ever born. Beyond the dark I feel the pain. It's hidden, but I can't explain. A cross to bear, a heavy faith. My sorrow whispers time again. I mean, insane. And then the title track, the opening track, Senjutsu. It's super catchy. Lyrically, I think it's a little bit of a step down from some of the other stuff, but the part where it's talking about, Bruce just wailing, arrows falling, dark oblivion, live in spirit, live to tell our sons, that whole part. Talking about defending the wall, dancing on graves of those who bled for us is in this too. It's so good. The beginning is catchy too, though, with the drum feel. Nico hits the gong, like, beat the warning, the sound of the drums, set the beacons afire for them all, call to arms all the men far and wide, have to fight now for dynasty, pride at stake. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And that's the end. I went through, the reunion albums more in depth because I feel like there's better lyrical songs on those. And I skipped some of the ones that I didn't think were that great. But you can see that I'm a big fan of the reunion stuff. And I am. As much as the 80s stuff. I mean, it's true. It's true. But where I'm at and where I'm diving into, the whole point, too, of this is to showcase how mature the band has become. Lyrically. And I said that. Since the reunion, these guys are just unbelievable. Knocking it out of the park with these songs, trying to make them more emotional, more concise, more intelligent, more relatable, deeper, more progressive, more interesting, more variations. Some of this stuff is just enchanting to me. And I get lost in it. Just like today, I didn't expect this podcast to be as long as it is. But it is. And I know I initially talked about doing the afterthoughts thing on this, but with this podcast today, I don't think I need to do the afterthoughts. I think this is a pretty solid, set-in-stone podcast episode from beginning to end. I've touched on so many things. And it's just, I'm so proud, and I say this all the time, to be a Maiden fan. These guys really have something for everyone, and I encourage any metalhead out there, any fan of rock music, to pick up an album and listen to it. you'll find something. Even if it's one or two songs, you will find something. And then after that, you keep digging, you keep digging, you keep digging. And I've talked about it. I've talked about this many times. If you're looking for something that's super complete, that has a little bit of something for everyone, look at Peace of Mind and Brave New World. They have a little bit of something for everyone. If you're looking at something deeply emotional and lyrical, listen to this podcast episode. This is stuff that touches on really deep emotional content. This podcast episode about some of the most mature and most well-written and most dynamic, lyrically dynamic songs and touching songs that they've written about, and powerful messages and motifs in their songs that they've written about. So, as always, I appreciate everybody's input. I appreciate everybody listening to the podcast. This is A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. I am Joe Labriola, signing off. Thanks for listening. Everybody take care of yourselves out there. Up the irons. Long live Eddie and the boys.